Decker, two hands in the mid. I'm excited about this game number one, Tang.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting matchup, but of course, it can still be anything else, right? Like it's a, as we said, a triple flex in either direction can still be everything. But Tuans swapped over from the carry role, but he didn't really lose his identity, right? We are associating heroes like the Wraith with him. Maybe an on-hit Sinks, maybe the Decker can play traditional mages as well, but I think in a deciding game like this, I think he wants to go back to comfort, so that's what I'm expecting. I think overall, Sink have drafted a very lethal composition out for them, but I'm afraid if they fall behind, that it can be a bit scary for them. Benevents overall, very traditional, have the Shinbi in the side lane, and the rest of the core, really strong team fighting, standard, front to back, just chilling.
Just big chillin', but we do have two people big chillin' waiting for this game number one. It's going to be Blazy Bard and HD Philly B going to take this one away. You guys will have fun with this one because it's going to be a doozy.
I'll stop you right there, F6. I'm not big chilling. It is 38 degrees Celsius, not freedom height in my office right now. I am melting. But you know what else is just as hot as the UK is right now, Philly, is this rematch with Sink and Venivens. Sink were put down into the losers bracket by this squad, and now Venivens have one more chance to snuff out the fire, or Sink will get through.
Yeah, this is a elimination, right? They want to move on. Whoever wins will fight Team Hope, and that's not another team you want to go up against. So this is going to be a great one. I expect this one to go the distance. This is not going to be a full-on stomp either way. But Blazy, this Decker in the mid, a two-hand special. We were looking at a couple of scrims, and Two Hands has done this before and found some success on this character.
Yeah, absolutely, and not just success, but success against Nightshade EU. Now, these are scrims that we have for reference in the background, so, you know, how seriously were those games played? How well is that actually going to work out in a real match? Who's to say? But I think this is important to highlight that this isn't just Two Hands grabbing at something because it's what he wanted, the flavor of the day, so to speak. This is something that they've practiced with, that Sink have built a composition around, and that they have some knowledge of how to execute on.
Yeah. And I really like this, right? It'll contain the Grux, it'll contain the Steel. These are players that want to play aggressively. You can put down the gate, you can stasis bomb them. If they dive on you, the Ion Strike, which is the ultimate. So there's a lot of ways for Decker, which we know, so good at controlling the battlefield. So I actually really like this from Two Hands. My only concern is, are they going to be able to leave the lane? How are they going to find the priority against this Rena and then rotate to the other sides and cause some havoc? The other side of that is maybe they prioritize the mid lane and they just go after Mayor, who's only got one escape tool with the Mesmerize, where she can float around. So it will be challenging. I'm interested to see how they do this. The other thing I'm interested in, Blazy Bard, is the off lane. Is the Countess the answer to the Shinbi, who's been running rampant through the summer series?
Yeah, I mean, Shinbi with the Ion Eternal has been so dominant. You're telling me a character with low cooldowns, ranged poke, so many opportunities to get that extra gold is strong right now? Wow! I could not have possibly predicted this to happen. And you're right, people have been trying everything plus the kitchen sink to try and deal with it. We'll have to see if the Countess is the option. We already know Countess has some great matchups into some of these characters, but right now, both of these two players are trading pretty low.
Yeah. I think the reasoning here might be the Blood Tide passive, right? If she can get some of the stacks, right? If you hit them with two abilities, they get hemorrhaged and it does true damage. You can chunk through some of the shields and some of the armors that she builds, Shinbi. And I think that that's a good way to do it because of that ranged poke too, right? You've got the Shadow Slip, the Eventide. You can just kind of poke from range. The question is the split push. Shinbi has a better split push. So if she just decides to stay in the lane, then how is Countess going to combat that when Countess really wants to get ahead? We haven't talked about the dual lane yet, rather, Blazy, but it is going all the way of Sink right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They got so much pressure here, which is surprising given how aggressive this lane seems to be, but Grim, a much more late game carry here. Sorry, the heat's getting to my chest as well. Septic needs to ramp up a little bit before this Grim can really come up and make much of a difference in these dual lane fights.
Yeah, it's that 3-item spike is what we're looking for. Grim has been the flavor of the tournament, especially on the EU side, right? We've seen Neft, we've seen Septic, etc. play this character, but we've got some scuffling in the mid lane here as the seedlings have spawned.
Yeah, Aurora's going to take straight to the sky. These river buffs under some heavy contention already. It does look like Venivens will get the better trade of them. Conte caught out in the jungle, but caught out is only relative when you have such a strong dash as Steel does. He's going to be just fine as the map kind of resets itself here, Philly. And, you know, we're looking around the map. We got a few more minutes until these major objectives start spawning. Where are you expecting to see Sync or Venivens really try and execute their plans around the map?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Venivens, they want to play for the Fangtooth, right? They've got some good team fight with the Abyssal Rift and the Shield Slam from Conte. They can really engage in some of these areas. On the flip side, though, they really need this Decker, right, from the mid lane to kind of set up some of the fights or have Sagu charge in with the Glacial Charge because they have the augment that can Frost everybody down and then find follow-up from there. So it's really the junglers in terms of what they decide and how to engage here. So we'll see in the next couple of minutes or so what objective they're prioritizing. But I imagine the Fang was where the eyes will be laid.
Yeah, it certainly will be. So it's all down to these players to make sure that they are healthy and back on the field ready. Which is why some of these poke wars might be so important on the left-hand side. Two-Hands and Maya certainly are going at it, but it doesn't really look like either side will take a major advantage. Two-Hands backs off into the jungle. Sagu's holding by. We've got a small pause here.
Okay, a tactical pause right early in the morning, and that does give us some opportunity to talk about how the game has progressed so far. The main thing that stuck out to me is that offlane, and Countess is currently ahead by about 300 gold in that lane, which means they're winning that poke war effectively and getting that Ion to work for them. I hope this is the answer. I hope we see the Shinbi finally defeated in this game.
Well, I mean, you know, we look at Countess as an answer to quite a lot of off-lane picks these days. You know, it's strong into everyone. It's got great offensive pressure. It's got great poke, mobility, everything that you kind of want. Doesn't necessarily act as that secondary tank that you might want your offlaner to fill in these team fights, but it's certainly not been a poor answer. And pretty much entirely off the back of Gak, there is a very small, and by very small, I mean 48 gold specifically, lead in favor of Sync at this point, but, you know, that's not really a major deal. We're more so looking at these experience differentials, and right now, Philly, it definitely is looking in favor of Venivens, who are looking to be in a bit of a stronger position heading into this Fangtooth.
Yeah, for sure. The one question I have, and I know we keep harping on this offlane, folks, but it really has been such a pivotal position in this tournament. Who is she going to assassinate, right? That is her role. It's like, I want to single out a target. Grim seems to be the natural option, but how do you work through Conte on this Steel, who is so good at peeling? The thing is you have to play your position carefully. You have to bait Conte into diving in with the Bull Rush or the Shield Slam, and then you kind of shadow slip into the back, and then boom, you find the Grim, you keep him distracted long enough for the rest of your team to do the damage and do the job. The other thing is we haven't talked about Secret on this Adele. This has been such a contested pick for the EU scene. It's like, if you don't ban it, you have to pick it up first. We saw them prioritize it heavily in the draft. I want to see the influence that Secret has on this game, mesmerizing people, shield slamming them, whatever it is, they have to put in the work to keep the team alive.
And such an adaptable pick as well, right? We've seen Adele be piloted in the support role, in jungle, some offlane. This is a pick that truly has a lot of application, so it's not even a risk picking it up early, right? You're not locking yourself down into anything or risking getting hyper banned out later on. And to harken back to what we were saying about these positioning, this playstyle from Gak, I mean, it's going to be difficult to force Conte to be the one to engage when you have this incredible engagement tool in Ven right here.
Absolutely right, and so they have to be very careful, but we know how methodical these teams will be. So they want to reach their certain item timing, so they'll be farming for a little bit, but that's where I'm watching the jungles, right? How are they going? Right now it's just been horizontal, so they're just floating on their half of the river, playing it safe, but I feel like if they do contest, Ven will have the advantage just blasting through Sagu. But right now, just farming up, but they have a ton of vision, like we mentioned, on that Fangtooth side. They're gearing up for it.
Yeah, it's all about trying to figure out what the opening's going to be, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both junglers try and make a rotation to the mid lane here, especially with Maya quite pushed up playing in this river, but Two-Hands equally half HP. Now, both of these mid laners are in a little bit of a precarious position, but Maya just dinged 6.5 minutes in. This is some really great farm from Maya.
Yeah, it is, and it's because they've got the Yggdrasil at their back. This has been another like EU special on the Rena. She's a scaling mage, so it takes some time to get her essence stacks available and what have you. But this allows her to trade more effectively. She can step up and gather those essences when they pop up on the field without fear of taking too much damage. And she's gone with the Nether Ward augment to help the Soulfire get some shield. So I imagine her to win some of these trades more often than not, where Decker needs some time to get her spells available. We have Sagu jumping into the mid, as well as the Fangtooth being taken. Now it's ramping up.
Yeah, they don't need a space, they don't need a moment. All we need to know is that the mid lane is on half HP, the jungler is joining them right here, and we've got all the time in the world. The wards just weren't... they weren't poorly positioned from sync, but they weren't in the right positions that they needed to be. There's one right inside the Fangtooth pit. My assumption, Philly, is that they saw, and by the time they could really muster up what they needed to do, it was going to be a little too late for them to get into the pit. But either way, first Fangtooth off the board. It's not the most impactful Fangtooth of the game, so Sync aren't going to be too hurt over it.
Yeah, you know, just your buffs will last a little bit longer. You get some extra gold and experience. It's that second Fang. If Ven get it, then it really puts Sync on notice. But now it makes me think, do Ven want to then go for this mini prime? We will see as Two Hands and Myra trading once again.
He's up into the sky, not quite connecting on the charm there, so Two Hands fine for now, but taking a lot of damage consistently as well. You can really see the benefits of that Yggdrasil playing for Maya here. Now, Two Hands, obviously, he's not unfamiliar with this pick. He's not unfamiliar with this matchup, you would assume. Are we expecting this matchup to go how it's going currently? Is the Rena just strong? I mean, obviously, the Decker isn't a mid lane pick, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more in the favor of the Rena, but hold that thought. We've got another scuffle in the duo lane. Conte on the Steel. I love this pairing for him because he's such an aggressive player, and Steel, you have to play aggressive. You've got to bull rush in. You've got to use your adaptive shield on purpose to take some of those hits as you're approaching, and it's a melee versus melee support matchup, so he is just chomping at the bit to get some damage done. I love this lane for both of these teams.
And it's a great pairing as well. You get Conte to make space for Septic on this Grim, give him the time he needs to start scaling up. And on the right-hand side, while we've been looking at things, I thought maybe the mini prime had been started up there, but Ven's presence will trigger the retreat from Sagu. He will have to back away. Cannot do that with Ven hanging around the corner. Meanwhile, the mid laners, surprise, surprise, they're still fighting. In fact, Maya has just used his movement tool. Might be in some trouble here with the rest of the team rotating in.
Oh, he doesn't see that Sagu is there. Doesn't go for the glacial charge as he's locked down by the mortal coil. But Mayer's just stepping up. He feels so confident. I love how he is playing. But you talked about this mid lane matchup, and Decker has set themselves up to find these traits, right? The Photon Efficiency Augment, doing extra damage on the Photon Disruptor and reducing cooldown. And then the Lotus, the Prima Donna, so doing extra bonus damage to heroes, but taking bonus damage themselves. So it's kind of like glass cannon approach. And speaking of glass cannon, Septic almost shattered.
Blink away from the Garden of Thorns, and he'll be just fine for now, but will be forced out, actually choosing to stick around. Conte on his way, maybe feeling a little bit safer. Gak, hold on, wait, hold on. I've just noticed this over here on the right-hand side. Gak, 2 levels. Oh, just maybe just a little bit under, but still, this is a really good look from Gak. I think he might be onto something with this Countess pick.
Oh my goodness, and he's forcing M to go Tainted Scepter first. Normally you have to go Time Warp to make Ion even that much more lethal, but you're going Tainted Scepter to keep the healing at bay from this Countess, who can just feast and whatever, get that healing back online. So this is deterring some of that gold advantage, but can Gak, will they get caught out? No, too slippery for this one, but I love the way this offlane is going. Come on, Gak, I need to see the Countess win.
That's caster bias right there, ladies and gentlemen, but only not against the teams, just against picks in particular.
True.
Shinbi has been in the driving seat for too long. We need to see him dethroned. Gak actually getting really aggressive here just to get out. I see that Sagu's in the wings, but he's not intending to come in. Meanwhile, Ven, he's right here. Gak is too low to do anything about it, and he will concede first blood 11 minutes into the game.
Oh, that is massive, and Ven has perfect pathing through the jungle, right? He's gone on this horizontal side to side, and he has flowed over to the Fangtooth in perfect timing, and then flown over to the offlane to find that kill. Gak just playing too much with his life there. I think he should have backed right before that, and now that leads Ven to go for the mini prime, but he needs some backup here. We're seeing M on the way.
Sagu is waiting in the wings. Whether or not Ven knows about this, I'm not sure, but Sagu is going to be able to go in, uses the bomb to get himself up. But Ven, look at this discipline, immediately going straight onto the jungler, has to wall away, but he's caught in the pit a little too long. Sagu will fall and the Prime will be forfeit.
Oh, the Warlord's challenge, locking the Ice Queen in place. No throne will be usurped in this fight, and it is Veni Vens off to a fantastic start. Both neutral objectives and 2 kills going their way. Two Hands is just getting beat up in the mid lane too.
It's a great stun to probably save his life there. Maya almost certainly had the juice to go for that kill, and Secret now trying to ward off Ven, trying to take his jungle. I believe he will secure the last hit there. Sorry, Ven. Two Hands walks around the corner. Ven licks his lips, but it will be the exit down into the jungle. That Fangtooth is certainly calling his name.
Oh, and right off the spawn, it's like, okay, Fangtooth is spawned in, we're crashing his house, and we're taking him down, and he gets the 2 camp, which is that experience camp that the EU teams love to contest, and it was Secret tried to handle it, but didn't get it all the way, and so Ven is just feeling good right now, 1,000 gold up on his counterpart, and 2 buffs to boot.
Now it's time to take a breather, figure out what you're going to do with this gold lead that is now starting to come back the way of Veni Vens. Not all that much, though. Looking at the board here, Billy, we're looking at a, what, 2 grand gold lead here at 13 minutes? That's not realistically all that much, but it's the stuff that they can grab after the stuff they've got. These advantages now, the second Fangtooth, the mini Prime, there's a lot of pressure that Ven can now exert around this map. Where are we looking for him to appear next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say the off lane as he's heading towards that side of the map. He might go for his 2 camp, 5 camp clear real fast and then put pressure on, because M has lost a lot of damage on that tower, and if he loses this off lane pressure here, that's really bad for them. They need M to rotate in some of these later engagements, so I think they might help him out there, but Ven can tend to clear his camps for now, and then the seedling, but we're gonna have a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Two Hand has made the rotation over. Conte locked in the baby cage, but the jump will save him. Back out into the dual lane. He will be just fine. No value this time on the rotation, but I like the heads-up play from Two Hands. He's going to walk straight back into Maya, and of course, who is there? None other than Ven. The blink will be enough, though. Two Hands makes it out.
Those jump boots saving the archaeologist in this instant, and we were curious how Two Hands was going to rotate, forces the shield slam, which is the big ultimate from Conte, out, which you love to see, but he'll get that back in good time, and Ven, knowing the win condition in this mid lane, using that prime buff and its waning moments to get some extra tower damage before it goes out.
Great heads-up play, and I love the aggression that now is being channeled through Ven. He had quite an early start. We didn't really see him outside of farming the jungle, but that's exactly what he needed. Wanted to get those levels, wanted to get that gold, and really get some momentum going. Now he has been everywhere. He has been all over, and I don't think anything's going to save Two Hands this time. Sagu tries his damnedest, but it's not going to be enough. Down falls the mid laner, and Veni Vens surge further ahead, now 3-0 in kills, which if you're an NA spectator normally you might not be all that impressed, but Veni Vens are putting on a tactical clinic right now. Sync feel like they have no roots to get back in.
This is just, it's perfection from Veni Vens, and I expect nothing less from the second best EU team in the region. So Ven just doing everything, taking 2 clubs to 2 hands and finding this mid lane tower that's more gold in their pocket. But I love the pickup of the Absolution here, getting that more magical armor, because this team for Sync is so magic heavy, right? 2 hands, Sagu, Gak, all with this magic damage. So get that armor and build the tenacity so you can fight through some of the CC they're blowing your way. I love this from Ven. He is on his redemption arc, and he's making it work.
Absolutely, he is, and now as the map starts to kind of fall quiet, there aren't any objectives for anyone to fight for, so Veni Vens and Sync will have to use this time trying to
All right, we're back online.
Yeah, I'm all good now. We're seeing Gak and M fighting out. You know what? We're watching Gak and M fight. The stream freezes. We're back watching Gak and M fight. We missed nothing, and nothing has happened across the entire map so far of any events. We're still waiting for these major objectives. We'll have to see if Sync can use this downtime effectively, but right now, Two Hands in an awful position. Wait, hold on, actually, maybe the fancy footwork will save him then. Completely bamboozled, ankles deleted. As the mid laner jumps to safety, Conte was waiting in the wings, but I don't think there's much more threat to Two Hands.
W rocket boots. I mean, rocket boots to Geyser, that's a lot of elevation, but space created, right? This mid lane matchup has been so instrumental for the win cons of Veni Vens. They'll go right for the Shaper, which is just in time for this Fangtooth, Blazy. It's about to spawn in like 20 seconds, so as the Steedlings are providing that passive pressure in the lanes, they'll have the space they need to get this third Fang, which is that boon to offenses and defense, basically an extra tier 3 item. I mean, this is huge from Veni Vens. They are choke holding this map.
Yeah, it's massive, and Sync now, you can see their positioning. They need to come in and fight for this, regardless of what it might cost. Hold on, Sagu has got 2 people in the cage, and they are being deleted. The health bars are on their way to the ground. Conte could be the first one picked up, but never mind. A blink and a beautiful dash will get him to safety for now, but he cannot escape. The long arm of the law. Down falls the support, and Sync might have finally opened a window into this match.
Oh, this is huge, but Mayor is here using the Abyssal Rift, and Ven is clubbing away.
It's going to be all down to whether or not Sync can get this fight back on track, but with the rotation in from M and the falling of Two Hands, I'm not sure that there's much more that Sync can realistically do to get this back in. It's a 2-for-1 trade so far, and Veni Vens have the man advantage and the health bar advantage. Secret is going to make his way in, but it's going to be Ven, the next one to fall. All the health bars are so low. Boom. Secret will take a spill as well, and it's going to be a cleanup. Veni Vens rinse the map and will find the objective.
Oh, that is big, and we were looking for M to make an impact on his first rotation, and he surely did. May not have been winning the lane, but sure as hell winning the fight. I mean, just disruptive in the backline. Sync didn't know which way to look, and Conte sacrificing his life to peel backwards, right? We said that had to be instrumental to make sure the Countess, etc., does not get onto Septic. He keeps the carry alive, who's getting kill after kill. That was just fantastic play for Veni Vens, but you know what? They didn't finish the Fangtooth, and we are going again.
Yeah, I made that call way too soon. Ven, of course, taken off the map pretty early in that sequence, so not available to secure or really burst down this Fangtooth with the hunt this time. It's going to be back to neutral. Veni Vens, they have to reposition for this. Sync are on their way back as well. Everyone's back up, and the dance continues.
Oh my word, but what ultimates do we have available? Maybe the Abyssal Rift is here, but no Shield Slam, which is their big engage tool, so we'll see how these two collide. I'm looking for the Ion Disruptor from Two Hands to be massive.
Conte's losing a lot of HP, as is Ven, locked in the Ice Wall. He's gonna fall down, it's gonna be Sync! Sagu to take down the Fangtooth, as they might have just flipped this map on its head. Then the first to fall, but Gak might find his way into the grave as well. One more also will do it, and that'll be Maya to secure it. Secret falls down as well, and while they might have taken the objective, Sync get wiped off the face of the earth, and will lead to a full ace for Veni Vens.
That's an RGS ace for sure there, Blazy. But they have some lane cleanup to do here, Veni Vens. That off lane in shambles, the duo as well, so that will buy Sync some time. But I love how Conte is diving right into that mid lane. That is where they put the majority of the pressure. That Ion Disruptor was huge from the side of Two Hands, but we mentioned the Abyssal Rift from Mayor, and that just blasted everybody. Sync had to sacrifice their bodies to get that Fangtooth. They could not let Veni Vens get the 3 Fangtooth Monty, so they're okay with that trade, and doesn't look like they're losing too much off it. We thank you, Rastro, for bringing up the scoreboard. Anything standing out to you, Blazy?
Other than the fact that this is a lead that was relatively small not 5 minutes ago, that has now kind of exploded, gone all the way up to 5.7k in favor of Veni Vens, which, you know what? Even as I'm saying it, Philly, I'm looking 21 minutes into the game, it's still not an insurmountable lead. Sync, they are finding space in these fights. They're finding moments to pick kills and to not necessarily win the fights themselves, but at the very least delay and, you know, steal away the objective in this case in particular. So Sync, they're not out of this game by any means. This is not an insurmountable lead, but if they let Veni Vens get much more space, I think they're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah, they're holding on, right? But how much can their grip strength last, right? Where's the endurance of the team? And you're absolutely right. There's still some gold locked up in these tier 1 towers that could help swing the gold the other way. So we'll see how Sync can create some of that space on the map in the next few moments to maybe get those towers down. And it might be off of the back of this Prime Fit fight. Prime Fit fight. That's a tongue twister, Blazy. What the heck?
Your tongue's having a Prime Fit.
It is. If they win that fight clean, then I would suggest they get the gold lead back in their favor by taking down these tier 1s and that offlane one who's barely hanging on by a slip.
Septic in some trouble, caught by himself and not taking a lot of damage very quickly. Never mind, Remy will turn the tables on that. A great pick from Sync. They're out scot-free. They get punished in 0 ways for that. They take away the carry, and now Sync have a great opportunity to try and put some pressure on this objective.
They do, but, I mean, what ultimates do they have? No cryoseism, and they use the Queen's Garden there, but they don't care. They're going in again.
Straight away, Renna is already so low, but now Adele has been turned around on the health bar. Already quite low on a lot of members on both of these squads, but jumping straight in, Conte with the dive and the knock-up. Secret will be the first one to fall. They initiated, but I don't think they'll be the ones to get the last laugh. 2 members fall on the side of Sync for nothing, and Venivens can surge forward, clean up more, and surely pick up extra stuff. I don't want to call the objective because last time I did that, it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's once again, so 2 hands. It relied on him. That time the Photon Disruptor, or the Ion Strike, sorry, did not hit, did not connect onto anybody, and that gave free reign for Conte to have a massive shield slam in rebuttal. Steel so good at the counter engage or engage. At that time, they waited for the engage and they countered it to perfection, taking down the duo lane, and now they're on to the Prime. Let's see if this time they can secure it.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, this is not a terrible position for Sync. All of their players have respawned, but they are quite a way away from the pit. In fact, so much so that their last real steel tool, the long arm of the law, was barely out of the fountain by the time it was, well, the objective was taken down. Maya, yet again, going aggressive, trying to get some damage off on his opponents, but it's not going to lead to all that much. Sync, they have to back away. They have to give the space to Venivens, because now that Prime is in tow, or in aura, I suppose, it's going to be Venivens now to put pressure around this map and start sieging down these towers. We were talking about the non-liquid assets that are on the map right now, and how Sync could swing that in their favor. No. Venivens are about to pick up maybe roughly about 10k worth of value.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so much for them to take. I'm looking at that offlane tier 1 tower as a prime picking points, which, you know what? All things considered, Blazy, I think the Countess in this offlane is working, right? It's beating the shin beat, getting both of the towers down, getting the gold advantage, so on and so forth. But then it's just like, how do you use the Countess in these team fights? That's the next layer of strategy that the teams have to figure out. Okay, we've got the lane matchup, but how do we work it in the rest of the game? And right now, another objective going the way of Venivens. That is the Seedlings, who will be running rampant through the battlefield. And with the Prime buff, these towers, they're going to get chunked down pretty quick.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Philly. It's all well and good picking a quote-unquote counter pick, right? That's we'll put those in heavy quotation marks. But if that counter pick, again, quote-unquote, can't make an impact in the teamfight phase, I'm not sure it's all that valuable. Sagu gets caught by the clap, then nearly takes his life. The ice will just about keeping Sagu alive for now, but with all that HP lost and all those abilities already committed, there's nothing to do but for Sync but retreat back under their inhibitor and hope and pray they can find an opening into Venivens before it falls.
Yeah, that was a wonderful patience from Venivens, the slow siege, to use the Seedling as kind of the bodyguard as they were punching the tower and then taking it down. And what a smash and grab there from Ven to capture 2 and cause some panic for the side of Sync. They are not working in sync right now as they are being sieged again.
It's a slower siege, though, this time from Venivens. They need to wait for the minion wave to come on in, and there's some decent clear from Sync, but not really solid enough. A great split from Sagu to delay this invasion of the tower. Unfortunately, couldn't quite catch anyone off guard. A big split, big gap in the wall over there on the left-hand side. Couldn't quite catch Conte inside, though. Something like that, again, is something that Venivens need to watch out for when trying to siege this tower, because getting separated and locked under it could be detrimental and could be the way for Sync to bring this back.
Oh, I thought they were going to catch Gak out there because Conte was making the rotation, but the war of attrition going M's way, getting that tier 2 tower down. This has been a beautifully crafted siege from the side of Venivens, getting every moment out of this purple buff, and let's see how they go in. I thought the Abyssal Rift was about to go, but I think as the Prime wanes here, Blazy, they might back up, and as they do so, Sync might have some breathing room.
You know, you want to give the flowers to Venivens. I'm saying that Sync have put on a really great siege defense here, using their defensive tools to the best of their abilities. I mean, even Two Hands, who's had to back all the way away, has been able to get a little bit of chip in himself. Just great control, great usage of this wall from Sagium. Not sure that it's going to matter this time around, though. They're going in.
This is huge. A massive shield slam, and shield slam into the ground by Two Hands. That was well done from the mid laner, but the fight is raging forward.
Yeah, Maya is going to be able to find Secret, but one more player will be Maya. Will fall down. Septic follows him into a grave, and even the right-hand side. Yes, the inhibitor is going to go down. M might be in some trouble, though. 3 people are surrounding him, but the Shinbi has so much damage.
And so much durability, right? The circle rhythm shielding. I mean, incredible work. But look at this left side of the map. This is a huge minion wave crashing into this tier 2 tower, and Ven knows that he's got to do some cleanup. But this might be an opportunity for Sync to go to the Fangtooth, and they're sprinting for their lives for it.
Yeah, Ven might meet them there, though. Has to deal with the wave on the left-hand side before he can really make that rotation. It's all going to be down to whether or not Sync has the damage to effectively clear out this Fangtooth. And I'm looking at it right now. It's not falling as quickly as I'm sure that they would like, especially with Ven hiding right in the wings.
Uh-oh, if Ven gets this steal, this is the most clippable clip I've ever clipped in my life. Let's see if one of the world-class junglers can get it done for his squad. A nice cage off there from Two Hands to start the fight.
Oh, it's a bait! They've completely locked him down! They're going in for Ven, but the damage isn't there! They weren't able to secure the damage that they needed. Instead, M, with the long-range poke, will find Remikovsky, and any hope Sync had of clawing back this game melts away before their very eyes. 3 fall, 55 seconds on the shortest gray screen, and Venivens will charge through the tier 2 tower on the left-hand side, and surely will push down through to the core.
It's a trap. That's all I can say. I thought it was a trap set by Sync, but it was really a trap set by Venivens. And this is the difference between the Countess and the Shinbi in the offlane. Shinbi can make such a massive impact in these team fights, just running through the backline with the circle rhythm, with the line tempo, the rushing beat, and now it is the core that is being shattered. Game 1 to Venivens.
And what a clinical performance from Venivens.
Yeah.
You know, Philly, I know I'm not the analyst in this situation, but I don't think I could point to any particular moment in this game and go, Venivens made a mistake here. They played this objectively wrong. They didn't account for this. They didn't account for that, and Sync caught them off guard. Maybe one pick here or there. Maybe that one moment we saw Septic get caught out in under the mid-tier 1, but nothing as consequential as so to put them behind or even put them in danger.
No, even when the Fangtooth got stolen away from him, I thought maybe that was a mistake. No, that was just good play, and then they found the ace off the back of that, and it got so much map pressure. I thought right there at the end when Ven was going in for maybe a potential steal, that was a mistake, like losing your most farmed character or whatever. Nope, it was a turnaround again, so Venivens just on top of this game from the start to the finish.
It looked just so potent from the boys, and, well, it's not going to be us to break it down here, Philly, but is there any words that you can give maybe to Sync for going into game number 2?
I need to see more from Secret, right? Didn't see enough aggression from him, either whether it's trying to win that lane outright in some of these team fights. I know he's a world-class player. I want to see more. Put him on a character where he can really make an impact. Two Hands, the same. I love the Decker, one of my favorite characters on the supportive side. Let's see if they make a change to the mid lane.
Okay, well, we'll see if the desk have any thoughts to add on to that, folks. Break down game number 1 for us.
Well, there was a lot to be seen throughout that match, Tang. We're definitely going to break this one down. Thank you, Blazy Bard, HD Philly B. But I mean, all around, I feel like it just came down to an exceptional play coming out of Venivens. Like the casters were talking about. They really didn't make any mistakes. The one was probably that middle inhibitor, but they still got the offlane inhibitor. So it was kind of like not too much that they could have just made or played any better.
Yeah, I think Van Events overall probably pretty happy with how this game turned out. I think it was a bit slower than I was really expecting between them, especially with this offlane matchup of the counters versus the Shinbi. But I guess if both of them just play Ion range, then they're not going to find the kill pressure there. But yeah, overall, Venom really on the objective play, always there whenever those objectives spawn, and just able to get like this big XP advantage. I think at some point over 2 levels ahead of Sagu, and then suddenly this 1v1, those 2v2s that Van Events is feared of, right? This jungle mid lane squad roaming the map is just unbeatable for this Sync squad. And yeah, you mentioned it towards the end, like it looked like Sync were on the path of a comeback, but yeah, Venom not dying there in this Fangtooth pit really made sure that they are gonna be able to end this game.
I mean, when you kind of look at it, right, I also kind of felt like Sync just didn't really play the aggressors, right? Or when they did, it was not at the most prime spots to be able to do so. But I mean, we're gonna kind of like break this one a little bit down because we have some replays for you guys to really kind of draw back into kind of what happened, right? Starting off with the first blood, this is kind of like where one of those like, hey, you guys are trying to be engageful here, but at the same time just wasn't that right time to keep it going.
Yeah, Gek gets baited here. I'm gonna pause this just real quick because he knows that Sagu is right there, right? So like he's like, okay, I can hard engage. Like he's gonna be next to me. This is 11 minutes into the game, but yeah, he doesn't respect the gap closing abilities out of Venom there in the jungle. He's able to come around into the river, right? Just an easy blink in with the dash, pick up Gak, and that swings this matchup. Actually didn't even need the dash, just picks it up and makes sure that M is not gonna get pummeled in this offlane, because up to this point, Gak was doing phenomenal against the Shinbi.
And I feel like Gak could still made that play, but just continued to kind of retreat, right? Hey, I was not able to get the kill. Let me get out of here. I don't have vision on where Ven is. And at any moment, right, he can also be onto that side. So like you said, he was having an exceptional start towards the game, giving M a little bit of trouble on that Shinbi. But as we kind of go on, this is where kind of Anyvans kind of opened up the game, right? We saw the kills here and there, but it really wasn't like, do they really win? But coming out through the ace over by the Fangtooth, this is where kind of all that kind of spewed out.
Yeah, and this is a really weird fight, right? We see Venom starting up the Fangtooth, because the big thing here, again, is the focus should be somewhere else. Venom, they're on a timer, right? When Event know, okay, right-hand side is pushing. There was already this fight beforehand for this Fangtooth. Remember, this is the third Fangtooth of the game. And we're also looking at the item builds. So here we have Absolution with the Liberator. So he's like, okay, I'm just gonna start hitting it, and when they drop everything, I'm gonna be able to cleanse it away, but just not able to in the moment. Did end up use it, but lost the smite fight afterwards. He did get those extra resistances with this items being picked up, but the rest of the fight heavily in favor of event events. So they are not able to get this third Fangtooth of the game, but we can really see Amaya pop off in that fight. Septic also picking up some important frags to make sure that those carry players out of event events are super accelerated into this mid to late game.
Missed out on the hunt fight. Definitely going to stall the game a little bit longer, like we saw that Sync was able to accomplish. Don't get that third Fangtooth buff all around everybody, but getting an ace there just is not what you want, right? At least you want at least one member up. If anything, the jungler being able to maybe kind of contest, because the Big Lord Prime was up as well. But then we kind of go through the game, still Hope is going to be able to kind of have to show their hand throughout here. I mean, they've already taken away the Wukong, right? So they still need a front line, but also the comfortability of that Wukong is not going to be able to match up. And here comes that front line. We're speaking of the steal to be able to kind of round out this whole comp.
So that is going to be the steal in the offlane. Sarah, not necessarily one of those players we associate with the tank role, so definitely gonna be a bit of an interesting one. Feng Mao being picked up most likely in the jungle, can of course be switched around. I don't see Varant playing steal at all though, so I would guess that the steal goes into the off lane while the Mako is the support and the Feng Mao in the jungle. One last pick remaining. Is it going to be the Grux in the off lane? Is it going to be another off laner picked up for M? It is going to be the Seraph. Can still be flexed both ways. Honestly, in this matchup against the steal, I don't hate the Seraph if M picks it.
I don't hate it either, but Feng Mao is going to be on the side of the Hope. Maybe they can have that performance, but overall, I mean, it's kind of two simple comps to really execute. You just kind of playing a little bit of the dive there with the Seraph as well. I mean, overall, I'm kind of liking this both. I kind of just want to see what happens, and I know Blazy Bard HD Philly B definitely wants to see that too. So take this one away, boys, as we see game number 1.
Thanks, F6. Thanks, Tang. And I got one question that I asked literally out loud 2 moments ago. Where's the Zarus? Because both of these comps feel like they are absolutely primed for a cage.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. As soon as you brought that up, I was like, wait a second. I feel like there's always a character, a hero or two that just goes by the wayside that could actually really fit in the meta at the moment. I think it's maybe people struggling what Eternals to run. Nile seems to be a good option. Do you go Demi-Urge? Things like that. And then where does he fit? Does he go the jungle? Does he go the offlane? So there's some questions where I think some people have just some more natural answers with some of the other picks. There also could be a hero pool issue too, right? So a lot of question marks there, but I would love to see the Zarus. That's literally my favorite character, the most prestige on him and everything. But for now, the Gladiatorian Lizard will take a spot on the bench. We're going into game 1 of the lower bracket finals.
Yeah, and clearly Hope were having a look at what Venivens were doing in their last match, because Varant, whether this is taking it away from M or if this is just something that Varant likes to play, bringing the Feng Mao into the jungle isn't really a pick we've seen much at all in this tournament. The first time that I've seen it personally is M in the last game, so it feels quite spicy here from Hope.
But I actually love Feng Mao in the jungle. I think that's more of a natural synergy for him because he can make impact across the lanes, get his stacks online for his passives, and really start snowballing throughout the match. It's just M in the offlane is just that damn good. He can make it work no matter what. But we know Varant, right? Blazy, you and I casted a couple of scrims, watched some of these players. Varant is a hyper-aggressive jungler, wants to get off to a snowbally start. But the thing is if he doesn't, he falls flat, and then the team falls behind. So he really is the keystone piece for their composition. Yeah,
the driving force, the J.K. Simmons, if you will, the conductor of this band. That's a Whiplash reference for those of you in chat. If you're into the jazz indie movies, go watch Whiplash, I guess, is what I'm taking away from this. But over here on the right-hand side, Grux versus Steel feels like a bit of an interesting matchup, Philly. Break that one down for me.
Yeah, I feel like the Grux has this one. I mean, the bleed damage doesn't care about armor, really. You're just gonna get your Bloodlust stacks on there, and especially because M is running the Morrow. This seems to be kind of the only character pairing that this Eternal works with. So he wants to get low. He wants to just take some of these engagements and really push it in. Moreno, the substitute, how does he stack up against one of the most tried and true veterans of the scene? And the Steel, yeah, he'll take a brunt of the damage, but then how does he rotate out of this lane without giving up too much in terms of his tower plating and things like that to work in these engagements? They need that shield slam to start a lot of these fights.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's tons of other engagement tools on this squad outside of, I don't know, Samwise getting a stun and maybe something coming off the back of that. Maybe it's a blink in or a wormhole in from Rickster and into the ultimate. Yeah, I definitely agree with you here, Philly. It feels like a lot of the engage on Hope is over here on the off lane, and it's going to be a while until he can really make it out of this lane and feel that impact elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, and Venivens, they're okay with running S4 because they'll have the damage from Ven to kind of get in the back line. Mayer can poke from the back line of their team, and then Conte can play the front. So they're okay with M just kind of sticking the off lanes, providing that passive pressure on that side of the map, and keeping the steal locked down. So for Hope, how do we use Varant to maybe find some picks in that off lane and unlock this steal when it comes time, right? Right now it's fine, right? He's not even level 6, who cares? But around that second Fang Tooth mark, that is really when they need to go maybe for a vertical jungling style and put the pressure on M. So that is what I'm looking for. But Varant is hanging around the mid lane right now.
Yeah, he's looking at his lives. He's looking at a mid laner that doesn't currently have an escape. Maya does not get that ultimate for another 2 levels. Blink in. Maya, beautiful boot will get him out of dodge for now. Varant is hot in pursuit of Ben, lurking around the corner. He might have an opportunity here to turn the tables. Varant's falling low. Rixter's in the backline, up, down, finding the damage. I just don't think he has the juice to finish off Feng Mao this early on in the game.
Oof. But I mean, beautiful play there from Ven, and you know what? Because of that TKO, they get this 2 camp. That's the experience camp, and that will help this Sereth get off to a blistering start. She wants to snowball just as much as this Feng Mao does, and Sereth is a terror when she's ahead.
And it's literally the worst case scenario for Varant here, right? This is a character, the Feng Mao, sure, you have the execute, that's always going to be relevant no matter how far behind you are, but Feng Mao is not really a character that you love to play from behind. You need a little bit of tankiness to get into these fights and stay relevant in them.
Yeah, and he's running the Demiurge, so he wants to get farm. He wants to have that experience to make his items work for him, and so keeping him around down, that's the strategy for Venivens. How many invades can we go for? How many things can we take away from him? If we can find the kill onto him, even better. The one issue I do have, though, with the Venivens comp is the lockdown. They don't have much of it, right? They have some displacement tools, some slows, things like that, but it's this crushing descent augment for the side of Sereth that's really going to have to put in a lot of work to start up their CC chains, or the side of Conte to kind of mez somebody in and then find this quick burst damage. Vens wants to go extremely fast with this composition.
And we're going to see how that plays out for them. The Fangtooth on its way up now, available. Playing now at a local pit near you. First team to make their way over and really claim some space will walk away with some decent extra extension on their buff time. Is picking up. They're just going to go, it looks like both in favor of Hope here. Feng Mao taking it over on the right-hand side. Rixter takes the left one. Maya stepping up. Not aware, potentially, that Feng Mao's lurking in the river.
But that's actually really fortunate, and you spotted that out nicely, Blazy, is that Varant got both seedlings, so that's actually huge for him in terms of getting that extra gold and experience in his pocket. So recognizing that Ven was elsewhere on the map, snuck in both of those seedlings, and the hunt was down because it was used on that 2 camp. So I love the logic train that Varant is going for, showing himself over here on this side against M, trying to find some extra damage there, but still not enough. He needs his ultimate really to find some of those eliminations he's looking for.
Ven still in the jungle though, trying to position to re-engage and re-steal these camps. The 2 camp here, as you said, important for Seraph, really going to be an impactful moment, especially now with M making the rotation over. But have a look, over on the right-hand side, Moreno has not done the same thing. The camp gets taken away, and now the pressure's all on Varant.
It surely is. And the black hole expended too, but the R2000 rocket will put him 6 feet under. A massive rotation for Benny Ben for the invade. But on the other side, Varant will get a stack to his name, but will fall on the backside.
He makes it out, and while Ven goes in, Moreno jumps over the wall to try and follow him. Ven comes straight back out. A great bit of bait and switch there from the jungler from the Venivens, the titular player himself, and for his efforts he will pick up an extra red buff for himself. And Venivens, I mean, this is scary, the amount of pressure they've been able to put across this map, now not only taking Hope's farm in their own jungle, but pressuring them away and even picking up kills.
It's clear strategy. I love when a team has a clear goal in mind, right? They're like, this is how we're going to win the game. It's this win condition, and then they're executing it. Like we talked about at the top of this program, Blazy, is like, if Varant can't get off to a blistering start, he will fall behind, and he'll just be easy pickings for this high burst damage composition Venivens is running, and they know that. So the side of Ven is going for a vertical jungle, as we talked about, just going up and down on that side of the map, which also then protects Moreno, or protects M in this matchup against Moreno, and they can't facilitate Moreno to leave the lane. But Hope right now, they're going for the Fang. Let's see if they can secure it.
Yeah, there's no one around. No one is anywhere nearby to try and take this away. Conte's maybe here, but instead, Venivens, they've noticed they cannot make that rotation in time. They're going to the Mini Prime instead. Now, you know, this is the first Fangtooth of the game. We've talked already extensively in the last 2 matches, Philly, about how, yeah, sure, it's nice to have, but it's not really winning or losing you any matches. Do you think this is the right call from Venivens rather than trying to contest it?
100%. Because you give that Prime to M like you saw just there, and he'll just run through this lane. He's already got 1 plate down. Let's get some more, and if they get Phoenix first of all, they'll be even more in a Prime position.
Yeah, he's trying to run away, but Conte, too aggressive. Septic from downrange will find the shots that he needs to put the carry in the ground. Another great pickup for the Venivens, and Hope, you know, they're getting some things here or there, right? This isn't like, I mean, we're only 8 minutes in the game. Let's not over-exaggerate anything and pretend like they're out of it. But Hope are surely looking at how this game is going. And right now, if I'm them, I should start to feel quite worried about my future on this map.
Yeah, they can't let it get too far away from them. Right now, that's fine. They still got a lot of plates left. Their towers are looking okay. They've got one objective, and they almost got Meyer. Yes, they will secure it. Samwise puts him down.
It's always a great feeling when you pop your ultimate, spend that cooldown, go, yes, I'm going to either get a kill or get away, and then the support player walks up and auto-attacks you, and you fall out of the sky, crying and maybe even sobbing a little bit to yourself. It's a great pickup from Samwise, and picking up a pretty essential target here, and that will also maybe put a little bit more spring in the step of the left lane, but it won't be for much
Boink.
if First gets taken down yet again.
Oh, but the Blink has to be utilized from Septic, so that puts him in an awkward position should Varant come back to this side of the map. So that's a cooldown they are now well aware of. I love Samwise on this character, running the Ion, and I was playing a Mako Ion last night, and I got so much gold, I didn't even know what to do with it by the end of the game, because you can play so aggressive on this hero and just get so much damage in. So I love this counter trade between these aggressive supports in the duo lane. The one, like, for the side of Hope is they have a lot of great team fight ultimates, right? The Shield Slam into the Black Hole. If they can combo them in some of these pit fight engagements, they can win them. Let's see if they can do it now.
Rickster tries to catch Ven off guard in the Black Hole. Baron just
get
around
him?
the corner.
Yes!
One shot will do it. The execution puts Ven to the gray screen. Now, the fight still spilling out here in the mid jungle. Rickster has maybe a bead onto Maya. Has to use the teleport forward to find the damage, and it's a double for the jungler of Hope. This is exactly the kind of cash and XP infusion that Varant needed to get himself back into a comfortable position, and all that slow build Ven has been trying to get for himself, all of those invades, all of that work has been dashed.
Stacks on stacks on stacks for Varant. That's 3 now for him, right? That's a great amount of bounties checked off of his passive list. The one fortunate part here for Venivens, there's no objectives on the board. There's not even a river bug for them to take at this juncture, right? So yeah, maybe they lose the fight, Venivens, that's okay, but they'll be right back into it. And they're fine. The gold lead's still in their favor. But I like that that's the spark of hope that we need from the Dawn side. They can win these team fights if they make the first move.
That's absolutely correct. And, you know, I want to touch very briefly on this Gideon, a pick that has not really seen all that much popularity in this competition. And right now, you know, Rickster's been turtling under tower for most of this game, even though Maya has fallen down a few times, currently sitting 1-3 to Rickster's 0-1. It still is barely in the lead. I'm talking 70 gold in favor of Rickster, and it feels like he has not had nearly the impact that Maya has around the map.
Yeah, and I think the reason you go for the Gideon is this Howitzer Gideon matchup is tried and true. People have been playing this matchup since the dawn of time, right? So these two heroes hate each other, but this also keeps Rickster safe in these ganks that might come through from the side of Ven, because it's very challenging to dodge this Seraph once she goes for the Heaven's Fury on you, so on and so forth, and dodging M if they go for the smash and grab. So I think that just helps keep him safe. You're right, he's been playing a lot of the the Neon as well as the Zinx. So this is a out-of-pocket pick for him, but it's a tried-and-true mid laner. I think it's fine for Rickster, and it really helps with those team fights.
And he'll be popping off in the late game for sure. We can already see the amount of damage that Rickster is doing. Look at that, just one boulder to the face. Maya struggling to keep his head. But you know what? Varot is in the exact same position. Rickster pops the black hole just on the off chance Ven decides to continue to come in. I love the heads-up moment, but it will cost them the Fangtooth.
And now there's something worth fighting for, as you mentioned, Blazy. The Fangtooth is available. Moreno has taken the arc shot here to try to make an impact, but will he make it in time?
I'm not sure. It looks like Ven is still dedicated to picking this one up. Never mind. He's going for the fight. In fact, Varot dashes in, picks up Conte, and will steal away the Fangtooth for Hope. They've been able to claw back something in the face of an insurmountable position. Many Vens, yes, they're able to pick up 2 kills of their own. Septic might fall here as well. It's all in the pit. Long arm of the law off the board. And all told, 4 players fall from Hope for 1 kill and a Fangtooth. But that's Fangtooth number 2 nonetheless.
That is huge, and M will pick up Phoenix first of all on the back end of this. So both offlaners doing what they should do, which is rotate for the second Fang. But I think Vens, they're okay with this actually, because they've got a triple kill onto their offlaner now, and M will just run through that offlane side. But this was the impact we were looking for Moreno, to get a good bull rush in, cause some peel, cause some havoc in the backlines, and he did just that to allow Varant to sneak in and get that Fangtooth. So good 2 buffs from Hope. They're still in this game, but they did lose a lot on the back end.
Yeah, it's kind of a value call, right? What do you value more? Picking up that second Fangtooth and losing so many players. It feels like maybe Hope could have had a better disengage there. I feel like in that fight there were a few moments where there wasn't really a decisive call of, hey, we should fight this, or let's get out. And I think a decision either way, right? They got the kill, they got the Fangtooth. At that point, there needs to be a strong voice in the comm saying either, right, now we are going for this fight, or we need to all get out, because it was so messy. We saw people go down, and then right at the end there, Phoenix just kind of walks aggressively towards M, who was just standing there menacingly. And yeah, I mean, we all saw what happened. It was a wipe off the board for them. I think Hope still are relatively happy with that value call, but still, you got to imagine there was a better world for them there.
Let's see if they can get some more value here as Septic is running them down the Queen's Garden, doing a bulk of the damage. Nothing Samwise can do. And on the opposite side of the map, M picks up the next mini prime. Look, there's barely a sliver of HP on that tier 1 tower. This has been a clear win condition for them. Let's just make sure Moreno can't rotate. And if he does rotate, I'm taking your towers. I'm taking everything in the cookie jar and then some. It's just been fantastic to see the strategies work out from both of these sides.
Yeah, and they both are playing their own game for sure, right? Just right now, it feels like Venivens is maybe playing their own game better. Currently 4,000 gold, the senior of Hope. So despite everything we've been talking about, all the value calls, all the moments where Hope have been able to find these picks and jabs and objectives, Venivens are still bleeding them away. Not even a bleed, this is a gush of blood in the pockets of Venivens. For Varant, he's getting aggressive. He wants Septic, but he's going to be the first to fall in the fight.
That means Septic will just blow up any assassin, especially with this peel from Conte. Now they're moving on ahead. Meyer will take one down.
And it's a continuation. They're still surging forward. They want even more. And while there is enough mobility on Hope to maybe get them out safe, Venivens have a strong position here to maybe siege down this tower. It only has about a third of its HP left. Rickster steps forward, gets some damage out onto Conte, gets immediately juggled back and forth before falling back to the gray screen.
I mean, we talked about it. That augment had to be the best one for them to start the fights, and they got it. And M, running train, stampeding through the offlane, will take down the tier 2 tower like it wasn't even there, and he's taking even more.
Yeah, he just wants to continue to be in this fight. He's walking right up. He's taking all comers, fight me, and suffer, apparently. M, he's unbothered, unfazed, and just living his best life right now. Meanwhile, the rest of Hope, they have to try and recover this, but Philly, I didn't even realize how far behind they were until I looked at the scoreboard. How do you recover from a now 7,000 gold deficit? That's $2,000 in a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty. They got to stop the bleeding, right? They need the Vermis to cauterize all their wounds. But we've talked about this before in the previous set, where the tier 1 towers, that's some standing gold. It's like about 3,000 and some change for them should they pick those up. So they definitely need to get those, but it's like, okay, how do we get them? We maybe need to win a fight, get a prime or whatever. They're gearing up for this next Fangtooth. We saw them win the last... Well, they got the Fangtooth. They didn't necessarily win the fight, Blazy. But if they get the 3 Fangtooth Monty, that's a great boon to their offenses and defenses, and that might help them find some footing back into this game. They've got all the ultimates to do it, except for the Shield Slam. Moreno's got his hands full in the off lane.
Straight back over here to the Fangtooth pit, right in time for the spawn. Venivens, hey, some teams might not know the timers on the respawns off by heart. Venivens clearly do. They are right here, right on time, waiting for the T-Rex to spawn back up. And I can't see the health bar, but I can't imagine it's falling slowly.
Yeah, no, with Septic on the case there, he is just burning quick. He's got his 3-item spike. He's feeling good and wants some more. Mayor bursts Varant into oblivion.
Rain hell down on the jungler. Feng Mao falls and Richter split off from the rest of his team. Yet again, I've yet to see a black hole successfully do much more than cause a standing target right here. Gideon, a sitting duck, if you will, as Hope get ran through. The Fangtooth falls. It is Venivens first, but it is still a potent pickup for the boys in orange.
Yeah, and they got a couple of kills off the back of that. It's challenging for Richter because they're going for this full-on ult build, right? They went the Vesh Blessing that gets ultimate damage every 60 seconds. They're going full-on True Silver Bracelet and Azure Core to get that extra shielding when they go for these ults, and they're still being chunked through. Septic, with the Imperator as that 3rd item spike, is absolutely obliterating people with his critical strikes. It is so tough for the side of Hope to make through, and that's where they need Moreno in these fights, but he just can't get out of this offlane. He's just having a, I don't say a vacation over there, it's definitely like a hell's paradise in that offlane here for the steal.
Yeah, Phoenix has been really, really bullied so far this game. I mean, talk about a player that has been struggling. 0-5 versus Septic, sitting 7-0 right now, Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw how well Septic was playing from pretty much even in the last 2 games up against Sync earlier on, playing from this position. I mean, this is the other thing, though. It feels like every time I watch Hope, I see Phoenix get bullied and sat on for the first 20 minutes of the game, only to pick up an insane triple, quadra, pentakill later on and make a flip for it.
That's right, and that's what the Murdoch is so good at. He can farm for a while, he can play safely, and still participate in fights across the map. Varant maybe not want to be a participant in this one.
Yeah, potentially not. Richter in some
Nice
trouble.
block.
Gets shot from downtown. You gotta feel bad for the guy having to deal with so much with so little. M, in fact, make sure that Phoenix is not able to rise back again. Pulling straight back through into the back line of Venivens. And look at the amount of space that they've caused. Look at the amount of space that they have given to the rest of their squad, who are heading straight back up into the river to the Prime.
That was beautiful play from M to just kind of cut off the retreat, find the kill, but an even better play from Moreno to use the adaptive wall to block the GTFO. That's great, but look where M is right now, Blazy. He's in the off lane, taking down that tier 2 tower. He is just a split pushing machine right now on this Grux, and he's got the salvation to boot, so if someone does try to gank him, he'll have a little extra durability, but while all that is all said and done, the Prime will go the way of Venivens. They're looking for more.
Well, this is the thing. They don't even need him in these situations. Varun is already 1 HP. Hold on, Maya might actually get caught off guard for overextending here. Varun falls down, but, you know, careful what you wish for. You might find a Maya, but you might lose more players in your team. Richter, the next one to fall down, but does finally, you know, I say finally, we're just seeing the notification here. It's in fact 3 players in favor of Venivens. A double kill for Septic, putting him closer to 10-0. And while M is finally challenged, this is what I mean. Like, you're talking about him coming over here and split pushing. Most teams would be like, hey dude, can you come help us? We're in a 4v5 right now. Venivens don't care. They are 5 people without him.
Yeah, we talked about that. They're okay rolling as 4. They have the damage, they have the front line, they have some peel, whatever, in their little 4 skirmish squad. And so it's okay to have M split push. On the flip side of that, I do want to highlight Vesh. for Rickster, getting that kill onto Mayor at the end, right? The DOT damage, helping him out there, getting a martyrdom from the grave. But I like this now, the Prime securely on all 5 members for the Veni Vens. They've taken all the tier 2s. Now it's about sieging the base, and we saw how well they did it last time. Can Hope have a better defense? It's going to come down to Rickster. Usually your mid laner is the one that needs to clear out those minions the most because they have their spells to clear quickly. So I'm looking at Rickster to help with this defense.
I mean, I'm just not sure that he has the damage to really clear out these waves that quickly, Philly. We saw him just now struggle with that mid wave in the river and, you know, playing at this point 2 levels behind his counterpart with not a lot of money to speak of. 3 grand behind Maya here as well. Rickster is really struggling to have an impact, and I know we talked about it earlier. We talked about, yeah, sure, Rickster's playing safe. He's not had a huge impact so far, but this is how he likes to play. Later, he'll have more of a say, but right now, I'm not seeing that late game opportunity. I'm seeing someone who has spent the entire game in gray.
Oh, no safety for Rickster, and neither for Moreno. Nothing can help them now as Veni Vens fully on a tear. They're finding kill after kill after kill.
And the left inhibitor might be the next thing to fall, but scratch that, there is a wave pushing down the mid lane right as we speak. And with only 2 defenders left standing, I'm not sure that there's much more Veni Vens really need to do. In fact, they've recognized it themselves. They're looking straight at the core.
They have the damage to do it. They can burn this now. There's nothing for Rot and Samwise, especially with no Mako strike. This is going to be game 1 to Veni Vens. But wait, the captain, he goes down.
Hey, I'm not really too concerned about the fall of Ben. He's happy to give his life up and down. Samwise the only man left standing there, but there's just nothing really that Hope could do in that situation. They lose 3 people. They don't even have the right people, right, left to stay and defend. The last person you want in that kind of a defense is your Mako support, who just does not have the damage to dissuade VV from really coming any closer to the core. And well, this is just kind of the result of a dominating performance from Veni Vens.
They have something to prove. They are pissed that they are in the lower bracket this early on. They want to go back against Nightshade EU, which Nightshade EU beat them in a 2-0 fashion in the upper bracket, which was very close, right? There was a hotly contested affair. The scoreline doesn't always reflect that. But Veni Vens, they clearly want to be back in that grand finals position going up against the other Titans, and they're just letting everybody else know they're on notice.
Well, you called it yourself, right? You said very strongly with your full chest, this is the 2nd best team in EU right now. And I mean, I've seen Hope play, I've seen Sync play. These are not bad teams, but I'm watching them play against Veni Vens, and I'm doubting myself because what a clinical set of games that they have put on for us. But we're not talking about that last set. That's in the past now. I do have to wonder if our wonderful desk have anything to say about this game in this set.
I do have something to say. I do have a lot to say. A lot of it is Veni Vens is on a path of terror. Yes, saying I feel like they, like Philly said, they have something to prove here. I think thinking game number 1 is setting a tone here as Veni Vens are coming out now, just picking up this series 1-0 in a fashionable style.
Yeah, and it always started from the early game, right? They came in with the game plan, the Seraph invading. I think the first 2 camps belonged to Venom there on that very aggressive early game pick. And yeah, they were able to snowball off it. Hope did have a few good plays throughout the game, but overall, I think Veni Vens really happy with their performance, and this one didn't look too shaky, right? So there wasn't like those big moments where you thought, okay, they're gonna let it slip in a second. And overall, yeah, I think different draft, different game plan, still with the same result.
I mean, you're talking about like, yeah, Veni Vens played an exceptional game, but like, let's start off earlier on in the game, right? Feng had like a really big shutdown earlier on into the match that might have kind of looking at it from the background like, hey, this is good for Hope.
Yeah, so earlier on we did have some invades by Venom, right? And then you know Venom, right? He's gonna get cocky at some point, right? And he's gonna just go super deep into the 4 camp and just donate over a frag to the opposing member. And if the enemy jungler is a Feng Mao, then he can get a lot of value of that. I think we do have a clip at the 10-minute mark where exactly that happens, right? We did see this mid priority by Maya being transitioned into an early invade. We see the back end of the fight. That should be an easy frag secured, one secured, and the second one as well for the Feng Mao. Just believe me, the first one happened before that as well, and he is able to get those 2 stacks early on to get that extra physical pad.
And we talked about that in the last series as well, whenever M was able to get that, right? You're looking to scale with your passive there throughout Feng Mao. Getting that early on is huge, but just was unfortunately not able to carry that throughout, because we got to the mid game where there was just this big wipe at the Fang Tooth, right? And we're like, no hope. Like, you get the Fang Tooth, but at the same time, what have you lost?
That looked so sick at the beginning, because Boront does get zoned, but he cancels the ultimate with an Earthshatter himself, dashes in, gets the smite secure onto the objective, but then the fight just turns absolutely disgusting for Hope in this one. Venivan Septic staying alive inside of the pits, just perfect bubble usage there, gets zoned away as well by Venom, making sure that he stays alive, and Septic from this point onwards really starts being super accelerated. The Murdoch also getting caught there by M towards the back end of it as well, and overall, yes, you do secure the Fangtooth, you do have the opportunity to maybe play for the 3rd Fangtooth of the game, but at this point, Venivan's really far ahead in terms of the gold.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, there's a potential for that 3rd Fang Tooth, right? To be able to use that into the late game, getting that extra armor, extra damage to potentially give you that comeback. But once you get a full wipe, it's like you gave a lot over to Venivens there. And I feel like that's where the game really opened up for Venivens, right? Where Hope was just like, okay, well, we got to hope to play for that 3rd Fang Tooth, and they don't get it. And then eventually we kind of lead into a later part of the game where the big Or Prime play where, yes, it's a 4v5, but somehow still Venivens just end up winning throughout that red buff fight.
This is an interesting one, because if we start looking at this on the pause screen, right? HP bars were low. Yes, Voron just got choked by Maya, but that sort of shows us the aggression out of this German mid laner, out of Venivens. He just goes in completely alone, and they just don't have the damage to take him down. We can see it right there. The Black Hole is going to be used defensively, but even with all of those support items picked up by Rixter, not able to find the pick. And the one to highlight in this team fight is Septic, right? Dishing out so much damage. Yes, Maya does end up going down, but the rest of the squad forwards, the Prime is gonna get secured off that, and as we just saw, Venimans are gonna be able to close out the game with that one. So just super strong team fighting, aggression out of Maya, and the consistent damage output out of Septic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm looking over at the duo lane as we get ready for the draft of game number 2, right? Venivans take game number 1, but we still have another game in our hands. Honestly, at this point, like you said, I'm just going to take the Grim out of the game. I mean, we all know that we're playing for the carry, but I mean, it's either you try and pick it up or get rid of it, right? I feel like that's worthy at this point, just how much damage translation he was able to do throughout that entire game.
I think it could be an opportunity. I also think that there were some minute misplays that really accelerated this duo lane. For example, Samwise walks into the mid lane, throws the Mako strike down, which leaves the 2v2 completely impossible to win, because suddenly your support doesn't do the big ultimate anymore, right? And they end up getting caught, and suddenly Septic has 3 kills in the early game, and the game is completely unplayable. So I think it could also be sort of an adaptation to how they play the game. Mako is going to be banned away. This one is not going to be replayed. We have one more ban remaining for Venivans. This time, Saber is going to take the stage for the side of Hope, so potentially could have been this Wukong ban. Instead, Shinbi, smart ban, super strong. We saw it in the first set. M played that to perfection.
Nice. This is what I wanted to see. You're not able to, you don't have to ban it out. You're able to pick it up, take it away from the side of Venivans, kind of try and take those big, strong players that we saw, right? Still just leave open the Adele. Probably going to see the Murdoch onto the repeat end. So there might still be some play there left for Venivans. But I feel like you kind of have to fight a little bit more here throughout the draft with your team Hope, right? Really capitalize on, like, where can we find a win, right? And like you talked about, I think it's really that duo lane going against them is where you're able to...
I like this.
I like this too. I do like this.
I was gonna say F6, the Adele blocks the Boris, but if you pick the Boris yourself, then the Adele of course doesn't block anything. I love this out of any events. I think they've realized that playing Enchanter supports doesn't really work for their composition since they don't really have a tank on any other role, and we saw Conta is just really damn good on this Adele, really making sure those chokes can't be answered. The flip side, Hope picking up the Sinks can be a flex. Remember, this Sinks has been played in the mid lane quite a bit. This Mural being picked up as well, just to make sure to tell all of us, yes, this is a flex.
It's not a
Sinks
flex.
mid, Mural support.
It is going to be a flex pick, but I mean, overall, I'm actually not hating this draft here from Team Hope. I mean, we talked about, hey, Richter, what are you going to play, right? This is one of his comfort picks going into the mid lane. Kind of stops a lot of aggression, right? Being able to go through in, but Sparrow, we've seen it banned 3 times, but we have not seen it being picked up at all here inside the EU side of things. So maybe this is confidence going into game number 2 from Vinny Vance.
It's also smart. I think the Sparrow makes complete sense in that scenario. I think for Hope, they shouldn't have picked the Mural because they can still keep something like the Steel up in the sort of like pocket of what they could pick, and that makes the Sparrow really hard to play. But against the Grim Mural, go ahead, play the Sparrow. You are gonna have a great time in this one once those all-in stages come around. We know Septic loves that character as well, so I don't hate this out of any events. They're gonna ban away the Steel. As I said, one of those big counters to the Sparrow, always able to sort of make sure that the Sparrow just can't play for the next 5 seconds. We've also seen this double shield augment being picked up more and more as time goes on. Grux banned away. We have one more ban remaining for Venimans. Could be the Wukong ban, could be the Yurei.
I mean, one of the big things, right, we're seeing the bans coming through here. Grux out of the way for the side of Veniven, so kind of that flex pick they like to use, but the Wukong safety. With the Bellica also being knocked out here, maybe they just did not like it at all. I mean, we talked about the matchup a little bit in game number 1, but maybe just kind of doing a lot of damage here with that Bellica. But as we go through, I kind of think like one of the big things that are kind of in here is being able to pick up the one pick. I mean, they're bringing out all the characters that I've just not seen the day of light over into the EU scene this entire last 3 weekends.
No, like Argus really not high in the meta at the moment. So like a bit of funky business you can do, like hide in the shadow wall, walk behind him, and you should be getting the blink or the frag. But if the enemy doesn't fall into that trap, then I think the Argus usually not the highest priority, but interesting pickup by Venimans. Hope gonna go for a tanky boy in the jungle. Rampage, not necessarily the best matchup into the Boris. A bit of a slower clear. The Boris really just wants to basic attack, so the Rampage kind of fits that type of champion he wants to play into. The Yura I like a lot more. Sabra, I think, made it back and is gonna be playing in the offlane this time. And we know his 2 favorite champions, the Wukong, banned away. The Yurei is up next.
And I mean, you also don't have to worry about the Shinbi, so there's not really too much there that we have to kind of be scared about too much. So kind of Venivents here. I mean, like I said, I just totally forgot that M was in the off lane, so you have a lot to be terrified of. My bad. Don't hate me, M. But here comes the Feng Mao on M side of things, and this one's going to be an assassin versus assassin matchup. But kind of Yuri has the option to kind of build in a little bit more of a bruiser type, a little bit of that fighter type, right? So kind of want to see how Zayra is going to be able to pilot this one in there. But overall, I'm loving the comp out of Hope here. But like you said, I mean, the Sparrow not having too much to worry about. Maybe the Rampage has to worry about the Yuri when it comes to this kind of mid to late game fights if she's in there with the Soulstorm. But I mean, overall, though, I mean, it looks like it's a bang for bang. A lot of aggression coming out of any bands in my eyes.
A lot of aggression for sure. On the flip side though, Hope having this Muriel usually really good for those volatile lanes like this Feng Mao against the Yurei in the offlane. Could always use that reversal of fortune to really change the fate of the offlaners. Can be very interesting to see how Hope is going to play it. I think overall I actually like the composition out of Hope a bit more than Venivans. I think if Venivans snowball, okay, it's Venivans, they're gonna probably win this if they snowball, but if they fall behind, like who's gonna face check? The Boris usually not the tankiest character. We know M likes to lurk in the shadows, pick up those frags, but also not a frontliner. So I think for Venivans, as long as they can keep a lead, then a fine spot. But if Hope gets the advantage, then I think it could be a very scary game for this Venivans team.
maybe the comeback of Zera is going to be maybe what Hope was needing for them to really take the fight to Venny Vens. But I mean, Blazy Bard, HD Philly B, this one, take this one away because I don't know. I'm still feeling Hope, but Venny Vens confident going in.
Yeah, I'm sure one of these teams is certainly feeling hopeful. Whether or not that's the team with the word in their name, I'm not quite sure. Philly, I'm liking this draft a whole lot more from Hope. I think we still had some questions about really where this engagement is going to come from.
Yeah, we were talking in the green room previous to this. You're like, I feel like a Rampage or Zaros would have been better in the jungle for their previous composition. I think they felt the same way as we go into the Rampage this time. But it's the engage. I feel like it has to start with Zeru on the Soulstorm, and then you followed up with Varant Rock or the Reversal of Fortune or something like that. So their engage is much more challenging. Whereas Venny Vens, they kind of just want to run right at you. They don't care, right? If the Boris has Tesseract online, actually has some armors, he'll run right at you. But I'm looking at Mayor, once again, to get priority in this lane, especially against a Zinx, and then rotate with the Dread Nova and find some of those picks. So a big pick composition for both of these teams.
Yeah, although it still locks up this offense, this engagement over in the offlane. And sure, I mean, Zera on this Yurei. Zera is back, by the way. Thank you very much for Moreau for stepping in the last game. But Zera has to leave offlane to really set up on these engagements, if that's the thread that we're expecting Hope to follow, right? So we're still looking for a team that kind of needs to hold down until late game, and the Grim backs that up. But tell me a little bit about how well this Muriel is going to do at keeping him safe.
Oh, that's really tough. If he gets dove on, which, you know, M and Ven, they're trying to do, there's really not much Samwise can do. He has the stun from the Serenity, but if that goes wide, then he has a few shielding options, but really, I mean, the Grim will have to stand on their lonesome. As you can see him getting dove on here, a little bit of shield, but the trade definitely going the way of Venny Vens.
I need to see Phoenix play more safely. What happened in the mid lane? What did we miss? Mayor and Rickster both sitting on like sub 100 HP. Okay, they'll be back in time for the river buffs, potentially. We'll never figure out what happened there. Don't take your eyes away from them. And I know that we had a quick conversation about this, the desk did at the very least, over here on the right-hand side of the map. Yurei versus Feng Mao, this is M's titular pick. Is this going to work out for Zero?
What does titular mean? Because that's the second time you've used that, Blazy, and I'm not as well versed in the English language as the Brits. Maybe.
Which word? Which word's stumping you?
Titular?
Oh, the like title. So Ven, the name is Venny Vens, right? So Ven is the titular player because his name is literally in the title.
Oh, so it's like a derivative of title. Okay, okay, I'm getting you.
So
now.
if you had Star Trek Voyager, the Voyager, the ship is the titular ship of Star Trek Voyager.
I see. I know we've got some Star Trek fans in there. Dr. Shadow, shout out to you. But yeah, Ven, or M rather, in this offlane on the Feng Mao. Going for the Demiurge once again, has the Imperial Duelist augment, so wants to fight, as you can see him doing now, but it's the Ion for Zeru that I'm really peeking at. They'll want to jump in and out, use the Severance, use their dashes to find some of that damage and get the gold. If they can get an item lead onto Ven, that could be a good win condition for him.
Item lead might be a bit of a stretch, though. Varant, I mean, look, he's been playing really, really well. I think solidly for Hope in these games has been the guiding light, if you will. Actually, Ven getting kind of aggressive onto him right now. I'm not really sure he can realistically find a kill, but just making sure his voice is heard, making sure that he doesn't feel too comfortable even in his own body of water. But I think something to bring up here, Varant, yeah, a great player. Whether he can get a full item lead onto Ven, that's going to come down to whether or not they can maybe find a first blood and translate that into the Fangtooth. But Samwise certainly looks like that might not be the case. Gets out by the skin of his teeth. Varant is here on the left-hand side. We might see that first blood after all. Blinks go back and forth, and it's going to go first blood to Phoenix after all.
Okay, can they get a little bit more? The shots coming through, the tower shots raining down, but now Ven is here. The bear is hungry. He'll be howling once more, but he is looking for the prime target in the refrigerator.
It's so much damage, but Conte's come back in. He's taken a whole chunk for himself, and while Ven is able to find one more on the board for himself, I think that might have just been a triple kill for Phoenix, first of all.
Oh, that's what they need from their carry. Samwise, how good. You're supposed to carry him to the finish, not take that kills. But that's perfect for Phoenix. They want to get this Grim to an emphatic start. We saw Septic in the previous game. Once he got that 3-item spike, was just indomitable in the fights. On the flip side, though, I was looking at the off lane as you were going through that dual lane tussle, and M was losing the trade there pretty heavily going against the Ure. So I kind of like that, right? More damage means more money. And they're rocking the Victoria skin too, so let's see if they can win out this lane. So I'm liking this right now for Zeru. But the mid lane is one we haven't talked about just yet, Blazy. And this is just a pew-pew battle, right? It's like Zinx just wants to run you down, and then Argus wants to do the same thing with their Particle Shredder. So it's just auto attacks versus Particle Shredder. Who's got the better aim?
Yeah, whose gun is bigger? Mine goes pew-pew. But later and later this game goes, Philly. Maya's gun is starting to go brat-tat-tat-tat. You know, this is a difference that will be made in timings. How well can Maya get those stacks online, and how quickly can that particle shredder start particle shredding? Samwise will fall down over here on the left-hand side, and Phoenix, well, hold on, Zeru might be in trouble as well. Soulstorm starts to come out, but M puts him down.
Wow, okay, and the Imperial Duelist Augment helping him out there, and Septic finding a two-piece, and the other side, the piercing shot, claiming a few victims. I was curious how this Sparrow was going to go, because she's very vulnerable in the lane, but for Kante just making so much space for his teammate to work.
Yeah, hold on. Nearly saw a kill from Ven there onto the opposing jungler. Varant nearly falls down. Luckily, there was a flower there to help him get out of dodge. But we were talking about this this lead that needed to happen, right? And I'm looking at the board right now, and I don't think that lead is heading in favor of Varant. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I've just looked at the numbers. It in fact still is only 350 gold, but that's not bad given Varant's position.
Yeah, that's an item, like a tier 1 item ahead. That's good. This has been an uncharacteristic game, though, Blazy. I mean, normally they wait for certain timings, the EU teams, right? They want to get their first items, they get their level 6 timers, whatever, and then they start fighting. But just some of the aggression from the junglers has really dictated the tempo, right? This Rampage wants to dive in with the rock, Boris just wants to run at people and chrono swipe and what have you. And so that's why we've been seeing a ton of kills, and M doing it again.
Zeru off to such a great start, maybe a little too big for his britches, does not give enough respect to Feng M. Mao over here on the right-hand side. You cannot tussle with the king of the offlane, and Ven's showcasing that perfectly. Ure, certainly not the kind of character you want to be playing in a deficit, though the Ion will help keep them in the game. M is certainly looking happy on the right-hand side of the map.
2 levels up and now going for the Cyan buff to boot. I mean, he is just running away with it. It'll be scary, but it's the inner fire unleashed here in the duo lane, and Phoenix, first of all, will not be revived after that one, and there's nothing Samwise can do. If he misses the stun, there's nothing else. The shield just gets shredded by that ultimate. So
I said it last game that I often see Phoenix kind of be sat on early only to come back late. I was hoping the script might be reversed. A really great start for Phoenix, but already losing a majority of the lead he had built up. And I'm looking across the aisle. Septic's 3-1 right now, which I don't even know where those other 2 kills came from. They've just snuck in under the radar.
Yeah, he did have that 2K early on here. And Blazy, we've been talking so much about the kills and the matchups and stuff. We haven't even talked about the macro objectives. The Boris wants to be on these objectives first, and you can see him now starting the Fangtooth. The rest of the team is here to help him out, but we're seeing Phoenix maybe in an awkward position. We'll see how this one plays out.
Mayo's gonna make his way into the jungle, but I think it's a little too late for anyone from Hope to get in there and sort this out. At the very least, it's just the first one. And on the right-hand side, Varant is going to be clearing up this mini prime. We talked about how this trade is in favor of the mini prime last time, but it might not matter if the Ven is able to make his way over and steal this away. Varant certainly does not want to be a part of this engagement. No one from the rest of his team is here, and the mini prime is still dealing the damage. The offlaners are here. Varant is able to jump on top of M and finally takes the kill. At the very least, that's a win, but the rest of the team is on their way.
Oh my gosh, the Earth Sign impact, snatching him up and taking him down, but the real target is the offlaner, the Dread Nova. Oh, it will happen. The Synaptic Obliterator will find the quarry, and this is the difference between the Boris and Varan. If we even have a chance, Blaze, they're going still.
Yeah, but the health bars are not in favor of either of them, and Samwise can only do so much to support when the Particle Accelerator, the Particle Shredder, rips through Varan's health bar. And while the trade there may have gone his way if it was just the two of them, being the mid laner there being all the difference. But importantly, Mini Prime was not gained by Hope this time around. Yeah. Benny Vens shakes them off the objective, picks it up themselves.
Yeah, and that's the, I was about to say, I thought the fight was still gonna go, the difference between the Rampage and the Boris. Boris has a lot of sustain in his kit, and he can clear objectives so freaking quick that he had time to go across the map, contest Varan, who was doing it so slowly, especially because he's having the Rumble augment, and now they give it over to M because that's been their win condition time and time again. Let's keep the offlaner under wraps no matter what, and they're doing just that.
Straight back over Varan, trying to get the little rock in the parting. I love that from Varan. Just a small little play, but sometimes it's those funny little moments that help you keep your morale up. And I think that's so important to talk about right now, Philly. Hope need a little bit of joy. They need a bit of sunshine in their cloudy day, because so far, both of these games have been all Veni Vens all the time. This game's been better. Phoenix got off to a really great start, but his positioning has been a little bit interesting so far. I mean, look at this. It's just so far forward, gets shot with the entire ult of Septic, and falls down immediately. Like, I feel like there needs to be some more respect given to his counterpart here.
And you were asking, what is Samwise's role on this Muriel? How is he going to keep the Grim alive?
He doesn't.
And he doesn't. I don't like this pairing. So then it's like, okay, the Muriel has to be used for something. Are you diving it with because a Grux is on your team and you want to help, or a Greystone or something like that? Not really. Zayru can kind of take care of himself as he's dashing around, what have you. Varant is going in, but he's a beefy target too, so it's really difficult for him to decide, how do I reverse the fortune of some member? It has to maybe do Zayru, who falls again.
Yeah, Zayru can take off to himself, you said. He's got all the dashes, you said. M disagrees. Apparently, left-hand side, though, is where the pressure is coming through. Veni Vens positioning three members over towards this left-hand side. Ven himself over here as well. We'll see if he wants to try and engage on the duo lane. It doesn't look like he does. A tastier target has become available in the mid lane. Rickster stepping a little too far forward, and Samwise goes up and down to try and help Phoenix survive just a little bit more. Septic's falling low, and Varan is on his way over.
Oh, let's see if they can find a kill. They need to do it now. This is the trade they're looking for. A massive shutdown onto the jungler. Septic put 6 feet deep, and they get them both. It's a double for the Rampage.
It's important, but it's all going to come down to whether or not Rickster can hold out in mid. He's being flanked on both sides. As soon as that wave comes under, he is going to be annihilated, and no one seems to care. Look, it's a slow rotation from Varan. No one is in time. No one is available to help Rickster. At the very best, Varan might be able to find Maya in the back, in the parting, and you know, the damage is there. Can he catch the little guy? Who knows? Probably. Maya probably knows that he's down for the count. It will take a little bit of chasing, but Varan should nail this one down. In the meantime, Ven, he's gone.
He's leading him on a goose chase, but the GTFO will find the mark, and it's a double for Phoenix. First of all, this is what we know from Team Hope, right? They are such a good team. They didn't get to the lower bracket finals just by happenstance. They are a good squad, wrapping things together, but I want to highlight M on that pincer rotation, which was well coordinated by Veni Vens, but that is a stack to his passive. And that's some of the most difficult things to do when you're Fangmount in the offlane, is get those stacks, and that will help him even more against Zayru, as each and every hit will be more lethal. But with that pick in the mid lane, that does open up the Fangtooth for Hope.
Feels like every time Hope gets something, Veni Vens is showing them a trade deal. Zayru, hold on, might lose his half of this trade. Might's a strong word. Yeah. Down he goes. It feels like every time there's a moment here, Veni Vens are going, okay, Hope, you can take $1 million from me, but I will take your firstborn, or you can save your firstborn, but I take your house. Hope are getting nothing for free in this game.
They certainly aren't, and they might lose a few members on the back end of this. Can they disengage successfully? Yes. And Blazy, I love the equip you have about the trades, because that's your stream tagline, right? Y'all trade you, watch my stream for a good time, and that's what we're giving you here at PCC. That's right. Just fantastic gameplay from both of these teams. It is neck and neck, so very close as we reach the cataclysmic point now, as the map will open up a little bit for both these squads.
The left-hand side looks like potentially it could have some opportunities, but it's where Ven has set his sights yet again. Hope. No space to breathe, really, and I love this from Ven. He's been so proactive around the map, even though there's no objective over here to really fight over. Then he's keeping his head over here. He knows that if this Grim is allowed to get momentum, if it's allowed to bridge the gap from awkward early game to weird mid game to insane late game, then Venivens might have a window shut on them. Hope needs to keep that window open, and Varant positioning himself over towards the left-hand side might be that.
Yeah, you make a good point there, Blazy. As we go deeper into this game, who has got it when it comes down to the late game, right? I feel like both of the mid laners maybe peter off a touch, the supports for sure, the junglers, it's the same thing. So it's really about the off lane and the carries. Who's going to do better? And we'll see it as the Neurogenesis keeps somebody alive. It has to be Rickster.
I mean, yeah, he's going to make it out for now, but it's going to take them. Yeah, this is the thing, right? Some of these cooldowns, some of these epochs that we see, it's like, okay, you're delaying them from killing you for a few moments. How are you getting out of here, though? Should be the question you ask yourself before burning that long cooldown now. Not available for quite some time. M baiting around the corner, but first, actually, Phoenix has so much damage. One more shot will do it, and the jungler falls down. Then is on his way. M's not the jungler, for the record. It's the offlaner that falls down. Phoenix takes him, and while Ben has positioned himself quite well, this tower's pretty low. One more push might push it over, but this is the point where we start to be a little bit worried about how much damage output this Grim can do, and Ben needs to kind of start respecting that.
It eventually has to be a 4 protect 1. Everybody take every shot for Phoenix first of all, and he will carry the game for you. That's why this Grim has been so hotly contested. And I do want to let folks at home know, like, Grim is a tough character to use. You really have to play as a team to make this guy work, because he has so many weaknesses, but then his strengths are so high as well. It's like a min-max kind of thing on that character, so you have to play him to perfection. On the flip side, though, that offlane got pushed in pretty heavy. That's getting Zeru back into that, like, some gold differential. They've got the Infernum now online.
Yeah, it's still a little bit of a tight one for them over here on the right-hand side. The Mini Prime should be picked up quite confidently after the back from Zeru. Meanwhile, Rampage has made his way over to the left-hand side. Varant not looking for an objective. Evidently, the Mini Prime is on the table, not the Fangtooth. Instead, looking to potentially hunt down this Sparrow. If they can find a few more kills on Deceptic, it might delay how quickly this carry can come online.
Yeah, they are trying to pincer maneuver this Sparrow. She doesn't know which way to fly, but at least she's buying time for Ven to secure the Mini Prime. And I like this, right? Wars can get so active on the map, as you mentioned, so how does he facilitate some more ganks, get some more gold in his team's pocket? So we'll see this time. He's keeping his eyes on this red side jungle, because that tier 1 tower in the dual lane is still alive. I imagine that's the next target they're looking for.
Potentially, we'll have to see. It's an interesting one, right? We were talking, we got to highlight this offlane yet again, because we were talking about how Zeru on this Yuri is going to have to be a driving force for Team Hope, especially in these late game engagements. But M has been so oppressive in this lane so far that not only is Zeru a full level and a half down, but also nearly 2 grand just on himself. That's pretty much, actually, you know what? Here's a number for you, Philly. The total gold deficit for Venivens is 3,147. The total gold deficit in the offlane is 1,500.
So half.
Half the entire
I can do some maths,
gold lead.
Blazy. And we're seeing that in terms of the items, and that is exactly what M wants, because he's running the Demiurge. The more items, even if it's a tier 1, a tier 2, he'll feel more and more powerful. Will M get away with this? I don't know if he wants to take this trade.
I don't think Zeru really wants to step into this moment. Maybe he thinks that he does.
Uh-oh.
Wait, hold on. The damage actually came through pretty strong. M, it's gotten a way that you can't chase that down. You don't have the vision. Actually, you do know where Ben is right now. It's on the Fangtooth. The rest of the team, I don't think, are in position.
They're trying for Rot. Knows he can go for the steal, but just misses. It'll be the second Fang to Venivens, and they want more.
Yeah, they sure do, and they're going to find at least one. Downfalls for Ron. No rampaging today, buddy. Phoenix, the next target of the aggression. Tries to dip under the tower. Muriel up downs onto a carry, but it's not going to be enough to save the life of the player. But the tower is raining through damage, and the rotation from Richter might be enough to pick up just a little bit of this trade. One goes in favor of Phoenix. Tower gets the credit for that one, surely, and Richter is able to find just one more, but I will gladly trade out my support for 4 kills and a Fangtooth.
And the tower, too. Especially, okay, Septic, don't go down here. Oh, the piercing shot through the skull. Immaculate from Septic. But that highlights that this Richter on the Zinx can be a pseudo carry, right? Because she just kind of builds this auto-attacking sort of build. You're just pew-pewing, as we talked about, Blazy, right? You just want to run at people and just blast them down. But you're going against the Sparrow, one of the hyper carries in the game. I don't think you're going to win that fight.
Yeah, a little bit too confident from Richter for my taste. I mean, it's unfortunate, right? Richter, I think both of these games has kind of been told by his team, okay, you're going to play a really safe character, you're going to hide under tower, and you're going to do things for us in these team fights. And it feels like every time the team fight stage rolls around, he's already behind, his team's behind. There's no space for him to get into these team fights, let alone the Orb Prime Pit as it falls down to Venivens' territory.
Oh, no.
In fact, they'll take Phoenix to boot.
Phoenix, what are you doing there, pal? That positioning, he was all by himself. And that is, I think, the final stack that M needed. I think he secured every kill. Maybe Samwise is still on his checkbook. But still, that is just, you're giving a free stack over to M, who's already so far ahead of Zeru. That was rough. And now they give over the mini prime, too.
Baron is in so much danger as well. He goes small, trying to run away. That hitbox reduction, hey, might be important, especially to try and dip dive and dodge away from that particle shredder, but this time around, it will save his life. However, we can't really say the same for the mid laner. Hold on, Richter maybe survives a few more moments. Zeru is able to find one, but in fact, 2 will fall in favor of Team Venivens. Richter follows his support to the grave.
And that was the kind of I don't want to say the prime setup or what exactly Team Hope was looking for, right? Zeru goes in with the Soulstorm, then you follow up with the Reversal of Fortune, but at this point, they're already behind so many levels, and they were lacking, first of all, because he was coming back from the graveyard. They didn't have the damage to lock people down when all of their ultimates were used in tandem, but Conte might not get out of this.
Yeah, Conte, I mean, he's low on HP, but I don't really think anyone on Hope wants to step into...
maybe not.
What that is, that's a trap. That's Conte going, hello, look at me, come kill me. And everyone else on Venivens going, yes, come kill Conte. It's exactly what we want you to do. Rubbing their hands together and doing little snarky giggles. Luckily, Hope don't fall into it, but... I mean, outside of a miracle here, Philly, Hope needs some incredible fights and a whole lot of mistakes from Venivens to bring this back, right?
Yeah, 100%. And, like, that mistake from, first of all, it's just kind of peeking into the pit, like, that is something you just cannot do in a lower bracket finals against Venivens. They will punish you 11 times out of 10 for those kind of mistakes, and with that, they've got full map control. They're taking the Shaper down. We've seen this play before as the Fangtooth is almost about to spawn, probably about 30 seconds or so, but that will be the next one for them, because if they get the 3, that's the 3 Fangtooth Monty, an extra boon to their abilities. But look at this, they're putting so much pressure on that duo lane. I think they might try to clear that side of the map to make room for the Fang.
Me personally, I'm a big fan of a 3 Fangtooth Monty. That sounds delicious, and Venivens certainly agree with me. And there's not a lot that Hope can realistically do to stop them from getting it. Right now, they are charging down the left inhibitor. They don't necessarily need anything else. They've got the Orb Prime buff. They've got everything they could possibly want, including, look at that beautiful little cute seedling guy running up the lane, causing mischief. How can you possibly try and kill him? Well, that like that. But imagine Zeru was a seedling.
Oh my word! I do have to highlight the envy, and M has picked this up many times on this character, but silencing a Ure is incredibly impactful. They cannot get their combo chain off in time, so even just for 0.8 seconds, it's all you need to hush the last Kiroshinzo and take them down. So M is just putting on a clinic on how to win an offlane.
Yeah, I mean, you take the, some people might call this the best offlaner in the world right now, rivaling even the offlaner from Nightshade EU. There's definitely contention there for M to be in that conversation, and he's on his titular pick. There's that word again for you. Philly, this is his bread and butter. This is what he loves to play, and here he is playing it flawlessly. There's the three-fang-tooth Monty. His hope has to run away and figure out how on earth they are going to defend with 2 inhibitors down and probably a player gone here too.
Oh my word. I mean, Conte just full on inting in, and this might be all said and done. It's a double for M, and that's just the butter on top of it. Chronos swiping to victory is the side of the captain, and he is murdering in the base. It's an RGS ace, a triple for the offlaner.
Benivens, they knew that this was going to be a long climb back to grand finals, so they decided to speedrun it instead. 4 games in blitzing domination that they have put together back to back, and now they can have a breather until tomorrow, where they will go up against Nightshade EU for one more chance to dethrone the Kings of Europe.
I can't wait for that match. That is going to be so good. And that's a best of 5 grand finals. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the distance. But Benivens, what a joy. Just absolute chef's kiss to watch them play the game of Predecessor. That was flowchart execution to perfection. It was beauty in terms of macro play, individual play.
Good news. Imperial occupation is coming. Your compliance is appreciated, but not necessary.
What's up, Predecessor people? It's Philly B, it's Doc, it's The Desk, and you are tuning in to our upper bracket finals between Suns and C4 Doc. This one, I feel like, could go the distance.
I mean, this series is similar to what we saw in EU last week with NSEU and Benivens.
Yeah.
This game could have been a grand finals. Like, it is crazy that we are watching these teams right now, and I could not be more excited because these are 10 of some of my favorite players to watch. Totally unbiased, but I mean, we've got just some big names on there. You've got Lauber and Tekken Kid in the off lane, so that's going to be a bloodbath. You've got Soul Reaper in the mid lane. Sorry, had a little hiccup. Paired up against a lesser known name, France, but France is very, very good, very fun to watch. And then you've got the classic Toasty Lakeinator in the duo lane for the side of Suns, paired up against Peak and Maguli, a slightly stranger duo lane, but still very, very high skill. So I'm just, let's get into it. Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm so hyped for this duo lane because Peak and Maguli have been together for ages. No matter what team they're on, it's always those two traveling as a pair, and same with Toasty and Lakeinator. So those two have just been mind melded on either side, and we'll see how they decide to dominate the game and go tick for tack. Doc, we've got a prescription for some NA action here for this upper bracket grand finals. Are we expecting anything different? I mean, in terms of the offlane, we've got Tekken Kid. I mean, they play a plethora of different heroes.
Tekken Kid, I mean, he was one of the first ones to kind of cook the Chimera offlane thing. And I've seen that that's been a good answer to the Shinbi that's been really popular. So I'm either expecting bans or picks with that. And I really like that because Grady has also proven to be really, really effective on the Chimera in the jungle. So I could definitely foresee them picking that hero and kind of leaving the ambiguity up. It kind of just adds another layer of that complexity in the draft. So I'm really excited to see that if it happens. But both offlaners have very similar hero pools, so it's all about making each one of them comfortable into their matchup. So Lauber, you can't give him Bale, so do you ban Bale or do you give it to Tekken, who also really loves Bale, right? So it's all about who has first pick, and I won't be able to say until we get into the draft, but I'm expecting the draft to really be heavy on that off lane. Similar, I mean, contrasting to the way we saw in the previous set, Nightshade was really targeting the duo lane, right? They wanted to set their carry player Naps up for success. In this, I don't think the duo lane is really going to be a focus.
Well, before we get to the draft, we got to get to the rosters first, Doc. You mentioned we've got a star-studded matchup here for you in the upper bracket. We can see some of the overlap, right? Especially as you mentioned in the offlane, the hero pools are very similar. I'm seeing the Grux and the Bale for both of these players, so I'd imagine they might be taken off the board in the draft depending on who they want to target. But I feel like you can't target out any of these players. Their hero pools are so deep.
No, I mean, exactly. All the players on all the teams are capable of playing at least 10 heroes in their positions more proficiently than most players. So it really comes down to comfortability when thinking about matchups, but also about who you're pressing buttons as a player. So like Lauber is going to be very comfortable pressing buttons on a Sevarog, and even though Sevarog might not be meta, he's made it work. So it could be... It could work out that we see a Lauber Sevarog just because of the comfort factor, but that comes down to, is there a good matchup that they would be picking that into? So like if Tekken Kid's likely not to play Countess, but if he has it, you don't want Sevarog into that. But just looking at, I mean, the diversity here is insane, and I'm going to be watching the mid lane because both mid laners are capable of not just playing mages at the peak level of mage capability, but both are also capable of playing kind of those off-roll picks like we saw in the last game. A Legion mid, potentially. You can see Drongo as a top 3 for Soul Reaper there. Kind of more carry position heroes. Maybe even a Shinbi middle, who knows?
Yeah, might see Grim middle and Wraith middle if it makes it through the draft. There's plenty of opportunities in the middle. But the character I'm not seeing on here for any of the teams is the Grim, Doc. And we know that's been a tried and true, especially on the EU side. And it's kind of floated over here to the NA side. But as we mentioned, he's difficult to pilot and play around, right? You really have to create a composition. And with the phase usually being banned, it's hard to get the Grim to work. But we won't see the Kalari in this one as the picks are flying through. Doc, the hand has already been dealt.
I was going to say Lakeinator is Grim is his 4th most played in this tournament so far. So it was, we showed the top 3, so Grim is right off the bat there. However, it's not on Maguli's list, though I have no doubt Maguli could play it if it worked out for their draft. But again, going back to comfortability, I don't think they would put him on it. Sure. But yeah, so it is. I don't know what's happening. Countess is like loading 5 times for me. But anyway, but coming out of the gate here, Suns, they are actually going to be targeting the jungler, which on the side of C4 is Norf, known for his mechanical prowess in this game. I mean, he's insane, just like many of these other players, but his Kalari, his vertical heroes, like Ure, for example, you can't give him Ure, you can't give him Kalari. We see that those are going to be the targets there coming out from Suns.
Yeah, and you always call him the God King North, right? There's a good reason for that. He is an incredibly skilled player. So and I would love to see the Zarus. Blazy and I were talking about on the EU side earlier today. Like, we haven't seen the Zarus a lot. I would like to see that character. I think he's so impactful and is good in the jungle, good in the offlane. The teams have just been shying away from it, but they haven't been shying away from the Howitzer. This has been a staple in the mid lane. And then we're seeing the Shinbi who's made it their way through. This is probably going to go on the offlane here, Doc. I don't think we'll see a Shinbi in the mid.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that type of cookery in a game with the stakes being as high as they are here between these two well-respected teams who also respect each other a lot. It's not to say that in the previous set, Entropy was disrespecting. I don't mean to make it sound that way, but I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think these teams are going to put 100% like full effort into this. The Fae is a good pick into this Howitzer. It's super easy to land those nettles onto the refrigerator, but the Howitzer is a staple pick for Soul Reaper. So, I mean, again, comfort. He's played that matchup thousands of times, probably. Not going to be a huge issue. And we do see the Grim. Sorry, it was spoiled a little earlier, but the Grim is going to come out for the Lycanator. So to your point, a very strong carry hero is able to really outbox every single carry in the game. But Murdoch is a good response because Murdoch has the capability to at least, stand his ground in some capacity there. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm liking this, and we're seeing the Chimera for the Suns, and this is probably going to go to Tekken in the offlane, right? He's been playing that into this Shinbi matchup. He's been going Claws of Hermes first items, make sure you drain the mana, just be a nuisance there, make sure that Shinbi can't get off what they want to do. I like this Fae pick, though, Doc. I know you touched on it just a little bit, but we saw last weekend France dominate games on this character, just took the professors to town with massive fly trap after fly trap. That cooldown is so short, and I'll look for them to play around that massive cooldown in this match.
Yeah, and now a lot of the bans coming out are going to be supports. So I was wrong in my prediction. I was expecting a lot of contention over the offlane role, but these teams are really looking to prioritize their comfort picks for their support players, so Toasty and Peak, respectively. And the last ban coming out for Suns is going to be the Ure. You can't give Norf the Kalari or the Ure. I mean, he is just like, he does things that humans shouldn't be able to do. But I do like this Chimera. I know you just briefly touched on it, but I like the Chimera as that third pick because that flexibility, it's still ambiguous. Yeah. When the Boris gets banned, we've seen Grady play the Chimera in the same similar type of role that he fulfills with that Boris. So it could still be that, and I really like that about Suns draft right now.
I'm liking the big old Steve the Steel here, and he's probably going to be in the support role, hanging out with Murdoch in the lane, just keeping him safe, right? Peeling if the Chimera is in the jungle, he wants to ambush, right? Just shield slap him away and go from there. On the flip side, we'll see the Adele. Some flexibility, right? Offlane, jungle, support. But I think they need some of this, right? How can we have some area control in the battlefield, really be a nuisance to then allow our backliners like this Grim and this Howitzer to work?
Yeah, and with the Chimera, regardless of whichever role he's in, he does, in this current meta with the Eternals, he does kind of fulfill a frontline role a bit better than he did in previous patches. So I'm really liking Sun's draft right now. It has that very strong backline with the Howitzer, with the Grim, and they're actually going to go ahead and round out their draft with a Yin pickup, which is extremely spicy. Again, it could be a jungle, could be an offlane, but I think it's a really interesting pick because it's kind of like a frontline hero because she gets on top of you, but she's not super tanky, but you can't hit her with ranged stuff. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see which lane that Yin goes and versus the Chimera.
Yeah, could definitely be in the jungle. And as you mentioned, Chimera being tanky, then allows, like if he goes in with the Adele, they kind of dive on somebody and then the Yin follows up with them. Triple people diving on a target could be very powerful, as we have a C4 selecting their final keystone piece. This is the Grux now, and I have a feeling that's probably going in the jungle.
Yeah, there's not really any other heroes on that roster that stand out to me as a Norf pick.
Yeah.
It's most likely going to be a Norf Grux jungle, which tells us it's a Steel Murdoch duo lane, Faye in the mid lane, and then Shinbi is going to be piloted by Lauber in that off lane. So this is going to be a very interesting game because both teams have
Those were not the issue, and nor were the players that were piloting them. It was just a little bit more of that ease of execution here from the side of this Code 4 team.
And everybody on C4 played well. I'm not trying to necessarily highlight a specific person. If I'm Suns here, I am banning the other one and first picking the other one with Howitzer and Faye. I believe France can play other things. Of course he can, right? We're at this point, these guys can play anything. But we haven't seen it in the tournament yet. We got to try to get this guy uncomfortable some way that we can. What other things do you think Suns can do before we kick it back to our desk?
I think you just change up into a composition that has a little bit more ease of execution. Maybe the Grim pick wasn't the best setup into that matchup. We do know Grim eventually scales up, comes online. He can't amp a lot of damage. But the Murdoch, on the other hand, was able to sit in lane there. He was able to play into the matchup and still be able to use that long arm of Lara to execute some kills and get himself a little bit further ahead. So I think it's just an overall change up in the composition. And like you said, you got to try to ban out some of those champs. Try to put France onto something he's not so comfortable with or something we haven't seen yet to cause a little bit of change in the match.
Perfectly said, Rit. We are going to send it to desk for the post-game breakdown. We'll be back with game 2.
Thank you, lads. It's Doc. It's Philly once again. Man, that was just... they were M10 before, Doc, for good reason. Going at Mach 10 speeds now. They're explosive like C4. They were just dominating from start to finish.
Oh, yeah. That game one, I mean, that was a little more lopsided than I was anticipating going into that. But
yeah,
holy, that was the France and North show. I don't want to downplay the rest of their team on C4, but I mean, the kill feed was the France feed. And the early game, all the tempo that C4 was able to accrue over that mid game was all because of North. I mean, what can you do against God King North, dude?
Apparently nothing. This guy was stopping ultimates, finding kills, securing jungle farm, and just doing everything. It was incredible to watch. But as Lance and Ritter kind of mentioned, this ease of execution, I think, for C4 just helped them with the victory, right? It was an easy flow chart. Hit the fly trap, hit the shield slam, and then clean up the kills. And they were doing just that. Poor Grady, though, or not Grady, Tekken, he was just kind of sitting in the lane the entire time. He didn't really even have a chance to like rotate or play the game because his sole job was just stick in the lane, make sure the Shinbi didn't get like out of control. She did it, but she wasn't even needed.
Yeah, I saw some Twitch chatters talking about, why pick Chimera in the off lane. It was a great pick, and it worked out very well for them because, at the 10-minute mark, Lauber ordinarily would have been 2,000 gold over Tekken Kid. But because of this Claw of Hermes, because of this Chimera pick, because of the way it adds additional attacks to that max attack speed ability, and also burns Shinbi's mana, she only had 185 gold at that point. So it really mitigated what they were trying to do by playing through Lauber in the offlane. It's just unfortunate that the rest of the game fell apart for the Suns. Their mid lane, Soul Reaper on the Howitzer, he had 0 tempo. He had no tempo at all. He just got bullied out of the lane and didn't get to get back into it. Grady on the Yin just was not able to find an in into the game. It was not a Chimera issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But we've got a couple of clips to roll. This was God King North getting off to an emphatic start here, Doc. He finds a double early on.
Yeah, he gets an early double here. This is not only just a double kill, but this is also involvement in the first blood of the game. He comes in, great angle behind. He's able to Warlord's challenge Soul Reaper down out of the sky immediately as he tries to pop away, getting himself a first blood. He quickly walks across the map almost immediately, about 20 seconds of reversal time, and then he's able to get in here. He misses the pull, but Steel, Peek, jumps in, tanks a couple tower shots, and here, right here, the Murdoch. Oh.
Yeah, I paused it, Doc. Right there.
Oh,
that's what you're looking for.
I didn't know you could pause it, but anyway. Yeah, no, right there. So right there, right where we paused it, the Murdoch, using his piercing shot augment, shot the tower. The attack went through the tower and actually killed the Grim behind it. So that is the reason Lakeinator died there in that situation. So despite Norf, missing all of his abilities and kind of leaving early, he created that opportunity for his duo lane, and from that kill forward, his duo lane was then accelerated ahead of Lakeinator and Toasty for the remainder of the game. So, God King Norf.
Grux, you want to get him off on a good start, and getting the double kill in the beginning on two high priority targets, Doc, right? Like, you're getting the Howitzer, you're getting the Grim. That's a lot of your damage off the board. I mean, just fantastic work. That Justice Reach augment for the side of the Murdoch is incredible. I have never even thought of it like that, right? I was just like, Pierce minions, poking lane, but no, you can secure the kills as well. We've got a few more clips. This one we'll call the France Frenzy. There was a battle outside the mini Prime pit, and France just went crazy here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a cluster. There's just so much going on. There's like two separate different engagements here. You've got Norf initially going on Soul Reaper. He ignores Soul Reaper stasis and just kind of goes back into the fray, but the fly trap, it comes out, it pulls people in. There's also, I mean, there's just so much going on here. Norf is just shredding. Tekken Kid goes down to all the damage. The long arm of the law comes through, and I don't know if it actually secured that kill. I don't think the long arm secured a kill, but it contributed to the kill, and was able to get France a triple kill in that engagement. And right off the back of it, they walk in as a team. They get the mini prime, and France is able to use his combustion there to get a quad kill. Like.
Nutty, dude.
That was the game changer. I mean, things were already looking rough for Suns at that point in the game, but that was really the first and the final nail in the coffin. At that point, it seemed impossible for Suns to get back into it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Soul Reaper couldn't find a way to get in. He was using all his abilities in a defensive manner, and that was the key game plan for C4. It's like, okay, how do we force Soul Reaper to be uncomfortable, Lakeinator to not shine in this match, and they did just that. And I gotta highlight France using the natural fusion augment, right? Dealing damage with the Harvest Nettles gives him ability haste, and it stacks infinitely, so he could just poke with that. It was doing so much damage. It was incredible. Well, Doc, we've got one more clip. We call this one the France finale. You said that fight was the nail in the coffin. I think it was this one.
Yeah, I mean, every team fight was, but in this one, the shield slam, it comes up, it knocks two up in the back. There's a fly trap on the other two in the front. He opens the fight by knocking out the jungler and the offlaner. The long arm of the law comes through to assist in knocking out Toasty, and then it's just cleanup duty from here. Peak does ultimately fall, creating some space there for the tower, from the tower, but I mean, that was just a massacre, and then the game just ended off of that.
Yeah, and that was maybe the third time that Maguli was just sitting, farming, having a picnic in the duo lane, and just firing across the map, people, right? Just knock them up and shoot them down. That was an easy strategy. He was just loving his life over there in the duo lane, just getting kills, creating that map pressure. So fantastic work here for the side of C4. Doc, we talked about it. France has been a menace on this Faye. It's got to be banned here for Game 2.
Oh yeah, it either has to be banned, or as Ritter and Lance mentioned, it has to be picked first. Something I want to see Suns do is I want to see a different mid laner if they're going to pick the mid laner in the first two picks. I want something that has more tempo, because I think Soul Reaper's capable of doing that. That could be something like a Neon. It could be a Gideon even. Something that's going to just, I don't know, have a bit more impact sooner than the Howitzer, where we really got to hit those item timings before the Howitzer's able to be effective. But I mean, that's a whole other can of worms to talk about, because I mean, he lost all of his tempo because of Norf. So then what do? You target Norf. So Suns, they're coming out of the gate doing the same thing they did. They banned the Kalari heading into game 2 here. They're still like, you can't have Kalari, and probably not allowed to have Ure either. But C4, they're going to take out same opening bans as last game as well, Muriel and Boris. So again, they don't want Grady on that Boris, because Boris is very, very good right now.
Very strong indeed. And this is the challenging part, Doc. It's like, okay, if we ban out Norf and his hero pool, take out some of these assassins like the Kalari, the Ure, then we're leaving the Faye open, because we can't then also ban out France. So we'll see, but this opening pick is a tried and true one, most likely going in the off lane for Lauber, but that's a Bale as your first pick. I mean, that's a lot of eggs in the basket.
I mean, we haven't really seen an answer to Lauber's Bale. thus far in the tournament. There's not a single game that I can think of off the top of my head where Lauber's Bale was effectively, stonewalled in the same way that we saw Lauber's Shinbi get stonewalled by that Tekken Kid Chimera last game. Blue, earlier today on Nightshade, did put up a good fight against the Bale using this Grux. So this could be a Grux offlane. It's a Tekken Kid staple. Yeah. Give him that Marrow Eternal. That could be the answer. He still doesn't love fighting a Bale at level 1, but levels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can be pretty doable compared to other offlane picks. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
We got two berserker class heroes in that offlane, Doc. They both want to be at low HP, just want to be right at the brink of death, and then see who really is the warlord in the offlane. But the dual lane will remain the same. It's just been the Grim and Murdoch show. Big tears for the carry role, man. I thought the Legion would make a better appearance, but we won't see the Legion today, but we will see the Fae. They have to prioritize Doc, otherwise it'd be banned.
I mean, France, the type of player that he is, if he doesn't get Fae, they're probably putting him on Wraith or something, because I always call Fae the discount Wraith because of the way the nettles work, similar to the knock knock. But and that's just how France is. He's a professional first-person shooter player, right? So he's very good at hitting those shots that matter. So now that the Fae is revealed on C4, we need to see how his son's going to answer this. They're not going to answer it in the first round of picks, so there are two bans that C4 is going to be able to kind of roll out here to be able to say, France, what do you not want to play against? I could foresee that happening.
And well, then that's the question, Doc. Who do they ban out? Do they ban the Howitzer? Do they ban the Gideon, the Rena? What is a mid lane matchup that you don't like here?
Neon, probably a Gideon. We just saw Howitzer. He doesn't care about going into a Howitzer. Whatever. Howitzer is a giant refrigerator who you can just stack your nettles onto just forever into infinity. Whereas Gideon, Neon, they have a little bit more mobility. They have much more wave clear early, so that would emphatically add tempo to Soul Reaper's game, which they don't really want him to have. They're going to take the Neon out, they're going to knock out the Kwang, which is not really a Soul Reaper answer here, but they still don't know exactly what Grady on the side of Suns is going to be playing, and that is one of his top 3. So they don't want to play against it. It's as easy as that. And then Ure and Countess are going to be knocked out from the side, or banned from the side of Suns. So again, can't give North Ure.
Nope, definitely not. And then I was thinking okay, maybe a Crunch could maybe potentially work here, but it's how do you pick the Crunch right now when you don't know what other CC, because you could go for Steel or something. I'm trying to think of Grady's hero pool and what could be next, but I like this Gideon pickup. Soul Reaper, Gideon, it's they're married, it's so good on that character. But let's round it out here for C4, Doc. We're looking for the support.
For the support, it's Toasty. He's really been vibing with a lot of these more tank supports, at least throughout the duration of this tournament. He's more than capable of playing anything, but I'm looking at a Morn, I'm looking at an Adele, I'm looking at a Steel potentially. And I actually really like this Steel pick from C4 because that denies the opportunity for Grady to play that Steel jungle, which we've seen him do, not necessarily in this tournament, but we've seen him do it before. And that would answer a lot of problems for Sun's draft right now, because they do not have a front line right now. They have a Grux, but that's not a real front line. Grux, you stun him once and then he's just dead. So I really like that pick coming out from C4. Suns, they have to give Grady something. It could be a Chimera. It could be the Idrisil Chimera again, and I think that would be sufficient. We've seen him kind of replace the Boris with the Chimera in that role, so it's still a possibility. But C4, they're going to round their draft out here with a Wukong.
Wukong jungle? I think you'd rather want to play Wukong in the jungle and not against Grux in the offlane, potentially, right? If that's what they're thinking. Grux could also play jungle, Doc, right? So maybe they're kind of keeping that open, but their core 3 seems to be this Fae, Steel, Murdoch. It's just these 3 ultimates layered together, winning every single fight for them. And you feel like if a C4 gets those 3, it's going to be GG's. But we're looking at the final one here, Doc. It could be jungle, could be offlane.
Yeah, there's, again, it has to, from my opinion, for it to be a successful draft, it has to be something that eats damage. It can't be a yin this game. It has to be something that...
Oh, no, Doc!
Okay.
Oh boy. What does this do? What they have to utilize this yin somehow.
I struggled to see where the yin fit in game one, and I'm still struggling unless they can find a way to make Grux super frontliney, tanky. Like maybe it's not going to be a Marrow Grux, maybe it's going to be an Idrisil Grux or something. I really see issues, especially given how easy the execution is for the side of C4.
DCS at 31 minutes. What the hell?
And Lance, I believe with that as well, that prime buff for that purple hue was not enough. And with 24 seconds for Lake Air respawn, it looks like this will be the secure and the win for the C4 team to close out this series.
It was a little bit slower. It was a little bit more strategic, but it was still executed perfectly by Code 4. They punched their ticket to NA Grand Finals. Congratulations to them.
And as we look at them moving forward into that Grand Finals matchup, maybe teams will realize that leaving France on the Fae is not the answer, or just leaving the ease of execution from the composition to the C4 team, right? It was nothing against the Suns. It was not anyone who was piloting a specific hero. It was just an ease of execution and a strategic and well methodically played game set there by C4.
And what I liked to see out of C4 there is that any hero or any player on their team can do the job, right? North sneaks 2 objectives kind of out of nowhere that turned the tide for that. Maguli, 450 CS at 30 minutes. Like, how do you even do that, bro? Like, I just don't even know. I do know 2 people that may have a little bit more insight than you and I. We're going to take it back to Philly and Shadow for the post-game breakdown.
What's up, lads? Thank you so much, Lance and Ritter and my predecessor people. We now have one of our grand finalists. That is C4, kind of taking, Doc, maybe the rightful place. This team, they have just so dang good.
Yeah, I mean, Ritter said it perfectly. Methodical, patient, tactical, whatever adjectives he used, I think that's the perfect summary of how C4 took this game. It was not a bloodbath in the way that we're used to in many of these games, but it was so clearly C4's game the majority of that time. And I feel very similar to them being in the grand finals as I do with Nightshade EU in the EU side of things, and how cleanly they just walked over their competition, just methodically. Just, you don't have to just constantly be fighting, and they proved that. They didn't have to be fighting to get objectives. North just walked over and took some of the big ones. So I love it, and I'm so excited for C4.
Doc, tempo was your key word throughout this series, right? And it just seemed like C4 had all the tempo. They were on the gas pedal the entire time. And I love this setup, right, with the Fae and the Shield Slam from the Steel. And then North was there to kind of clean up the kills, make his way into the backline to make sure those backliners couldn't pump the damage they were looking for. So that Monkey King was actually doing a lot in some of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's the North thing, right? Playing the Yurei, playing the Klari, playing the Wukong, playing the hero who's able to jump over walls, to jump over team fights, to be able to just cause the mayhem and chaos to get onto that back line and, as you said, clean up the kills. He was not flashy in that he finished the game 1-0, so he wasn't even cleaning up all those many kills, but I mean, there also were not that many kills to begin with. But again, the execution for C4, it was just so much easier, so much more reliable, and I would have liked to see more tempo coming out from Suns in the form of a different mid lane pick, potentially a different jungler on Grady. I know he's capable of playing so many more of those enablers. I think that would have made a huge difference for their team composition. So I think there were definitely areas to improve that they just did not between game 1 and 2.
And Suns will certainly have a chance to do so as they are knocked down now to the lower bracket finals. So they have a chance to find some redemption and maybe get a rematch against C4. Well, Doc, we talked about God King North, but now we've got an interview with him.
Ooh.
Hello, gamers. Welcome to the NA side of the pond. I am sitting here with North, the jungler for C4. And you guys are in the grand finals. First run together on this PCC. How are we feeling?
It feels pretty good. We spent a lot of time drafting and mocking for this, and a lot of time went into scrims, but it's nice to see it pay off.
I love to hear that. Like, I know it shouldn't be a foreign concept that teams, do mock drafts in practice, but sometimes some teams just seem like they have it. And you guys, I wouldn't have been able to tell that there was like mock drafts going on because you guys just seem to be so talented. You guys just seem to like naturally work so well together. And like, with that said, how do you guys plan on resetting now that you're going to be done for the day? How do you guys plan to reset between today and tomorrow? What does that look like?
I mean, we're just gonna chill, watch the games, and see who makes it to finals, and then we're gonna go from there.
Oh, simple plans. Of the teams that are now in the lower bracket fighting for their way to eventually face y'all, between the Professors, Suns, who you just checked out, and Goons, do any of those teams like stick out as like, oh, we're biting at the bit to like go against them?
Not necessarily, but I do think that Profs would be our hardest match, so I'm excited to play them in the finals if they make it.
Oh, okay. The Professors versus Code 4. I could see it. Final question here. We have seen NA and EU prioritize a lot of this Grim and Murdoch. If one team gets Grim, the other team gets Murdoch. Vice versa. We don't see either of them placed in the ban pool. What is it for your team, or do you think for everyone involved, makes these picks so strongly contested?
I mean, the new ADCs, Eternals, they just output a lot of damage, simply put. So it's just, there's still other things you want to ban, but it's just always something to keep an eye on. I think we have answers into both, though.
Okay, look at that. C4 coming in saying, hey, we love these two ADCs, and we always got a plan. I love to hear it. That's actually going to do it for me today. I can't wait to see who you guys face off against. Like you said, you guys are going to watch the games. I hope you enjoy the rest of today's games, and I hope it gives you something to really prepare on and come in tomorrow swinging. I can't wait to see who takes the title. Thank you all so much for your time today. North, thank you for your time, and goodbye, everyone. See you in the next interview.
Thank you, Empress. Thank you, God King North. What a fantastic interview we had there for you. And I'm sure we'll see more of North going throughout the rest of this tournament. Doc, speaking of that, let's take a look at the bracket. I mean, there have been a plethora of games throughout this NA side. I want to see what happened to our Nightshade boys, and would you look at that? Oh, man, Doc, we've got a lower bracket finals on our hands.
Nightshade 2-0's Profs. That is one that I personally did not see coming. I thought that at least would have been a 2-1 series in favor. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would have bet 2-1 Profs. But with that, we are going to get the Suns versus Nightshade lower bracket final, which is also equally exciting. What was it? North's interview, he said that Profs were the team that they, I think, were most concerned about. So now they're not sweating very hard.
Oh, they certainly aren't. And that's probably because they fought him and it was a 2-1 affair in that series. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Nightshade versus Suns matchup. Sorry, folks, we can't get to that other lower bracket round. I mean, buy some skins, buy some Victorious bundles. Maybe we can stay on stream longer, but we've got a budget we've got to fill. Really liking where the things are at. Doc, before we head to a break, just some final thoughts on this series, and then I'll send us away.
Final thoughts on this series. I think Suns, we know now that they're going to be up against Nightshade. I think they need to still learn some lessons from this series against C4. I think they need to look at the roles that they're playing as a team. Like, personal opinion, I think they need to just make Grady own the role of enabler on their team. I don't think he needs to be on heroes like Yin. I think he needs to be like, pick the Chimera even. We've seen him do it. The Kwang, these heroes who are going to really enable the rest of his team to shine. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. But again, get Soul Reaper on a higher tempo hero, or get him into a better matchup against something that's not Francis Faye, which should be easier said than done against Nightshade, but Fox, again, his hero pool is very similar to Soul Reaper's, so it's going to be hotly contested in the mid lane. But Suns learned something from the series, and C4, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, clinical.
Yeah, they found a key to success for sure. We've got a couple public service announcements for you, my predecessor people. The first off is you can head to our web store right now. I know we've been touting it through the entire tournament, but there's a 10% off discount on your platinum there. I just went and got the Bellica skin bundle, got myself some extra plat, so definitely go do that.
This realm shall kneel or be consumed.
Maybe I need a desk job.
Welcome back, predecessor people. Doc, I think you and I have the best desk job in the world because we get to be here for the PCC Summer Summit 2026, and we find ourselves in the lower bracket finals. This time, it's Sun versus Nightshade. This is going to be a crazy one.
Oh yeah, this is the shot at getting up, playing against C4 in that grand final tomorrow, in that best of 5 with money on the line. Nightshade, they had to kind of fight their way through this lower bracket, but they are emphatically here. Yeah. Suns, they just recently, just in the last set, got knocked down by C4 from the upper bracket, and they are coming into this with a little bit less positive mentals because those games did not go their way in any way, shape, or form. So this is really anybody's set, and it's going to be really exciting to see how do these teams kind of transition the momentum from their previous sets into it.
That was exactly what I was going to ask you, Doc. You must have read my mind or something, because this is the Suns. They're coming off a loss. How do they regroup mentally? Like, who's the leader on that team? Whether, you know, maybe it's Lakenator, maybe it's Soul Reaper, just saying like, hey, we've got this next one. Come on, let's regroup. Whereas Nightshade, they've been winning game after game. They just beat the Professors, the reigning champions, knocking them out the tournament, and now they are riding on a high. But can they keep their adrenaline in check going into this next one? Well, let's take a look at the rosters, Doc, because there are some star-studded names on both of these squads. I'm looking at first at the Nightshade side. I know Blue has been working on his Wukong, and it's been showing some results.
Yeah, the Wukong is a nice addition to his fighter repertoire. Yeah. He can play most of the popular offlaners, but this Wukong is really one that stands out to, like, it's almost uniquely his. There's maybe like M is another one that stands out as another Wukong player. Obviously he's like a Feng player, but anyway, Blue, I love seeing the diversity in this, so I'm curious to see how he answers what is sure to be either the Bale or the Shinbi or the Grux coming out from from Tekken Kid. I do see the Chimera there, but Blue doesn't really do too much Shinbi, so I'm not expecting that in this series.
Yeah, which is good. Maybe the Shinbi can take a backseat for once. The pop star needs a rest from the stage, let's put it that way. And you mentioned right before the break, Doc, how the mid lane, very similar hero pools between Soul Reaper and Fox. And just taking a look at the heroes that we have displayed, I mean, it's the same three.
It is, in fact, the same three, slightly different order. Soul Reaper favoring the Howitzer, and Fox, I'm surprised by this one, favoring the Gideon. I guess Neon has been banned more games than not, so that's probably why Neon is third. But Fox really does favor that Neon over the other two of those heroes. He really feels more comfortable on that. I think really the differentiating factor between these, which is not shown on the screen, is Soul Reaper's hero pool is quite a bit deeper in that he can play a lot more of those off-roll mid lane heroes, should that be a thing the Suns want to explore. Whereas Fox, we did see him play a Legion on stream here earlier today. It was not the most showy mid lane thing, but like he had 10 kills and 4 deaths, so it was clearly like a thing that he can do. So don't write Fox out entirely. I have to give a slight edge to Soul Reaper in this matchup.
Well, sure. It's now time for the P's and B's. We know that this could make or break the draft. Do got to shout out D-Dog, our statistician, for putting together the numbers so we can get those graphics to show you the hero pool. So D-Dog's sitting in the pack, running spreadsheet after spreadsheet. Appreciate you, big man. But we're seeing some similar bands here, Doc. It's the Galari and the Muriels, the sisters. Not in this one.
Yeah. Are they sisters in the lore?
I think they're sisters in the lore. They're like made of the same copy or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not doubting you. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know the lore as well as I probably should. But Kalari, it's a no nonsense ban. Yinyo, very similar to Norf in that he highly values those assassins, high skill ceiling heroes who are just going to be an absolute menace to deal with if you don't have appropriate lockdown on your side of things. So they're knocking that out. They don't want to deal with the Shinbi. They know that I guess they think Blue is probably going to play Shinbi, but I don't think that's happening. But the first pick, Suns, they are tired of getting beaten by Faye, so they are opting, if you can't beat her, join her. And that is exactly what Suns are doing here, I think.
And Doc, I wonder if this is almost a precursor for them feeling like they'll be back in the grand finals against C4. So that way it's like, Soul Reaper, get some more practice on this character, because we're going to probably first pick it so France can't have it again. Let's try it out against Nightshade here in game 1 of this best of 3 to see how it works. We're seeing on the flip side, though, Yinyo will get the Ure. It's another assassin.
That is another assassin, and I am a little worried already because Yinyo's assassins, I mean, his hero pool is very similar again. The Wukong, the Kalari, the Ure. He is an absolute menace. He is going to be running vertical most likely in the jungle, denying farm from the side of Grady. But if there's a jungler who's capable of counter-playing that, it's absolutely Grady, and it looks like Grady's going to be on the Boris, which we saw in the last set. C4 prioritized this ban with the Muriel, so there's clearly a reason to ban that away from Grady, and we're about to find out what that reason is. I mean, Boris, we've seen him solo objectives early on at level like 5, 6, 7, so that could be something we see come out, and that is a detriment to the hero pool that Yinyo likes to play, and that he can't really do that with objectives unless he goes like some import build with the Manta Scythe and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so high tempo in the jungle is what I'm hearing from you, Doc, right? Both of these two characters, they want to clear camps quickly. They want to find their objective timers quickly. We're seeing now the carry role. This is the Graham and the Murdoch show, this whole entire tournament. Doc, we've cast a number of PCCs, and there's always seems to be a couple of characters you're like, that's what I remember about PCC 14, right? It's the Graham and the Murdoch, the Rampage, the Shinbi, whatever it might be. As we see a couple of more bans roll through, the Neon just will not be played, I feel like, in any series, and now we're seeing the FaZe, so that Graham and FaZe can't get paired together.
Neon's burst damage is just insane, and it's a comfort pick for Fox. So that's a 2 bird with 1 stone sort of ban right there, and I love that coming out from Suns. On the flip side, though, we're seeing 3 of the 4 bans dedicated to limiting Toasty's hero pool.
Yeah.
On top of that, they also first picked Adele, which is also in Toasty's top heroes for this tournament so far. So that is 4 counters to him, and I think that's the right play, considering Toasty is easily the best NA support, or at least one of the top 3. So they're going to opt for the Bellica, another comfort pick for Fox. I am hesitant about this, though, just because he doesn't have the Torn Space, that the Gideon has, or the Make It Rain that the Howitzer has. Well, Howitzer's banned, so he can't play that. But got to be a little worried for Fox here. But it's a hero he's played several times, and I think he's going to be just fine in terms of maintaining lane prio.
Yeah, that mobility can be a little scary, and Fox is a player that we either see shine brightly or sometimes take a back seat, and we're wanting more from him. Hopefully the Belka is one where he can shine bright. Trying to limit Toasty Doc, though, is nigh near impossible. Now, on the Morn, we've seen him do Spider Morn, we've seen him do all types of crazy tech on this character, and then I also like this Bale to round it out. And Doc, another piece of lore for you. Bale and Greystone are cousins. The reason he's Bale the Betrayer is that his dad killed Greystone's dad, allegedly, according to the Echo Seekers. So we'll see if those two match up in the offlane.
I'll trust you on that one. I mean, they look like they could be related in some way, shape, or form. They're obviously from the same world.
P3, I believe this may be the end of this game for the Suns, as it's just Psy and Naps who are retreating back towards what used to be their lane, what used to be their inhibitor. Grady has the angle on him. I believe they are going to catch up to them at this point. This is probably going to end up being the whole RGS ace. This may end up being the whole game, but hold on. Naps trying to be a hero, gets that kill out, but oh no, here comes Tekken. There goes your life. There goes your core. Game 1 will end up going the way of Suns.
Hey, the Suns off to a great play set here to start this series. Had a little bit of a rough entry into the game. Things looking very strong in the favor of this Nightshade team, but it was just some very key moments and some rotations from the Suns team that ended up panning things out. We talked about how the Bear was going to be inevitable, and in this case, he was, Lance.
And honestly, a great game from both teams. Nightshade has a little bit of an early advantage. Suns played very well into the composition that they didn't get tilted, didn't lose the mentality, knew what the goal was. We got to get to a certain point where we can just kill Yin-Yo on the Ure, where we can just kind of go through and ignore that Stoneforge soul. They did end up eventually finding themselves at that spot, but if this game 1 is any indication of how this series is going to go and how bad both of these teams want their crack at C4 in the grand finals, we got a huge one ahead of us. I want one more thought for you before we kick it to desk.
I think that this Nightshade team needs to go back to the board, maybe take the Bear out of the matchup. I think that was one of the larger parts of it, and maybe even look at the Fade. Though we didn't see quite the dominant performance we saw in the previous set, there was still a very strong emphasis that Soul had using those fly traps in those last couple team fights, so maybe ban that off the board, but there's only so much you can ban, and with the hero pool so deep on these competitors, Lance, I just not really sure what the exact option is here.
Well, we'll have to find out if our desk is sure about what they should do. We're going to send it back to Shadow and Philly.
Uh-oh, there's a lot of different things that these teams could change for game number 2. Doc, we were thinking, the Muriel ban might be something they let through, and so they can ban the Boris instead.
Yeah, I think the biggest, Ritter hit it on the head, right? The Boris is the number one issue. When we look at the net worth discrepancy across the map, Boris had the majority of that money in his pocket. His ability to start and complete objectives all by his little lonesome, that in itself is just a massive threat when 4 of your other teammates could be posturing somewhere else and you could just be over there doing your own thing at full HP. I think it's absolutely, you cannot allow that thing to go through. And that was an entirely different Grady than what we saw in the last set. So I'm really glad to see that Suns recovered mentally. So I think if you're a Suns fan, you guys needed that for sure.
It's just a matter of timings, you feel like. Nightshade wanted to play for quicker timings. With Yin-Yo on the Ure, just tried to be a touch faster, but Boris just way too fast in the jungle. They just could not keep up. Well, Doc, we've got a couple of replays cooked up to go over and break down this match a little bit more. This is a early prime fight, and it goes the way of NS. They had the first 2 mini primes in the game.
Yeah, by all accounts, NS had the tempo in the majority of this game. This was just a really, really good fight. It opens with a really great Queen's Garden from... actually, this is a different one, I think. No, yeah, that one. That Queen's Garden there from Psy creates the space between the front and the back lines, which disjoints the side of Sun. They're able to finish the objective. They're able to peel off of the finished objective and wrap up with some kills here. It was just a very clean fight and a testament to how Nightshade played the early game. They were, by all accounts, in the driver's seat for the first 20 minutes of this game.
And that's where we talked about they had their timings during that early to mid game because that's when they found the most of their burst. Once Tekken Kid got fully online, Toasty too, in the final fight of the game in that dual lane, they couldn't take down Toasty until the very end. They blew everything to get the support. So that late game really helped out the Suns in terms of their item builds and their tank ability. Doc, we want to break down a couple more fights in this game, and we talked about how Nightshade had this more like dive composition, right? Go in with Yin-Yo with the Soulstorm, then follow it up with the Greystone, with Stoneforge Soul, whatever it may be. So we got a couple of clips just kind of exemplify that strategy here from Nightshade. This is the fourth Fang of the game, but the first fight around that pit.
Yeah, this fourth Fang was the game-deciding fight, or fights, for this. If Sun were to get this, it's their third Fang of the game, which is a massive boon to them. And it starts out with Toasty getting picked out early, but Yin-Yo opens with the Abyssal Dart, gets into that back line, massive Soulstorm, pulls everybody together. He does fall, but he dies with a purpose, what Blazy and I were talking about earlier. He dies so the rest of his team can fly. They just rip down Sun, and it looks like a great opening after that engagement. They are not healthy enough to take that fourth Fang quite yet, so they do reset, and both teams kind of start posturing around that Fangtooth again. But that was a great fight, and that was really, I mean, that was Nightshade continuing their early game dominance into that mid game, and that was it.
It was good. Like at that point, they could take Toasty down pretty easily. They got one Seismic Assault, one Neural Disruptor, the tree was felled, and then they had all range to run into the backline and execute their dive, and it worked really well. But with Yin-Yo leading it, and there's no jungler, then you don't want to 50-50 the Fangtooths, and you back off, and that leads us to our fourth Fangtooth fight, part number 2. Doc, let's break it down.
Yeah, this was also a bloodbath. It starts out a little bit better in terms of for Suns. But just disjointed everywhere. There's little skirmishes happening left and right, but it starts with Yin-Yo and Toasty falling in the backline. The Kingslayer was dropped on by Bale onto Naps, but that was not enough to even kill Naps at all. It did barely any damage, and as a result, Naps is able to just clean them up. We fast forward 15 seconds ahead here, and they are able to catch out Lakeinator as well. But Grady, fully healthy, is able to really deter a 1v. This is basically a 1v4. Full health Grady against the remaining bits and pieces of Nightshade, and he successfully kills 2 of them and deters the rest here. And as a result, that after that second fight, the fourth Fang of the game still did not go the way of anybody. Unfortunately, we don't have a third or a fourth fight because what happened was Nightshade reset, they all respawned, and then they went out across the map to their own little world. I don't really know exactly what they were planning, but they never repostured or made the intent to walk toward that Fangtooth pit. And as a result, once Team Sun respawned, they literally just walked into the pit and got the Fangtooth uncontested for free. It was their third Fang of the game. It was Primal Blaze, and at that point, Nightshade's game was just over. So all of that fighting for seemingly nothing.
They ran over to the Prime and then the Shaper immediately, and then they just sieged the base and got so much gold in their pocket that they got an item spike and then ran it from there. The difference, Doc, is the junglers stayed alive, right? Grady stayed alive in that fight. Yin-Yo was the first picked out, but he was the one that had to initiate everything, and then he fell. Then they felt like they couldn't go for the Fang again. They backed off, but they lost a couple members on the back end of it. So just crazy fights all around, but I love to see the strategy between the teams, how they want to play their compositions. And Nightshade did play their composition really well. But Suns played just a little bit better. The Boris, it's a reason why it's been banned more often than not, my friend. Well, we are still riding in this grand finals. Let's head over to the P's and B's for game number 2. I'm expecting this Boris to be off the board immediately.
Yeah, I mean, we have to ban the Boris. Worst case, you force Grady to play like a Chimera or a Crunch or something like that, but the Boris just is not allowed to go through because Chimera even doesn't have the same solo capacity for the objectives. And Nightshade, they know something we don't know about this Muriel, because yes, Muriel has I think it was like a 70% win rate or something like that, but on stream, the Muriel has not looked great. So maybe Toasty's cooking in the kitchen with some magic, but Toasty, it looks like I would ban the Morn because Toasty's going to be effective no matter what he does. But Nightshade, they're opting to open with the same bans as the first game. I think this is the same 2 bans from Sun as well.
Yeah, I hope we're not looking at the draft from game number 1, Doc, because you want to find adjustments, and the mid lane, I don't know if it was totally the problem. Yes, the fly traps were really good and they gathered people together, but you could work around it. But I'm seeing deja vu. It's the first pick Faye again.
Yeah, Soul Reaper didn't have an all-star super shiny MVP type of game, but his tempo was much better than any of the previous games in his previous sets, and just the mere existence of having the threat of Flytrap is enough to deter large-scale engagements. It's rough, but Seismic is most likely going to be picking up the Sidel as the first pick. And this is the same exact opening from both teams as the first draft. So I'm really curious to see how these teams kind of adapt what they learned. And they're not adapting anything. Nightshade said, we did this well. We just made some mistakes, potentially, in the way we executed in the mid-late game. And they're going to opt for that Yuri.
This is a real head scratcher, Doc. I don't even know how else to state it or analyze it, folks. I mean, this is literally pick for pick, ban for ban, exactly what we had in game one. I mean, we've already stated, there's the grin. We have
Here
everything.
Comes the Murdoch.
Murdoch will be on the other side for sure. So now it's got to be the second phase bans, Doc. There has to be some adjustments here.
Yeah. Okay. We're not opting for Murdoch. We're opting for the Drongo. I'm wondering if their thought is, hey, we can use a gag grenade to keep the Fae out of key situations, key fly trap situations, maybe somehow prevent the Grim from getting a massive shield off, maybe disengage a combo from the Boris when Grady inevitably rotates to the dual lane. I like this adjustment. It's subtle, but I think it's a drastic improvement. But in terms of bans, I mean, it's supports and off lanes. I mean, Nightshade has to target Toasty at this point because they're committed to it. They don't want to deal with the Morn. Whereas Sun, they're most likely going to look to set Lobber up, or not Lobber. Yeah, no, Tekken Kid. Sorry, I don't know. I keep mixing them up. Tekken Kid up for success in that off lane because he didn't do anything flashy last game, but he definitely kept Blue out of the game for a majority of that, despite the tempo that Nightshade had. So we're going to see the Wukong. It's Blue's most played hero in the offlane in this tournament so far, so that's a no-brainer. And after last game, Greystone is the number 2 hero that Blue has been playing.
And I liked it, right? As Greystone was diving one way, the Bale was diving the other way into the backline, and it got to a point where you couldn't take the Berserker down. He was just too damn strong, and so they don't want to deal with that again. But the Bale is open, so potentially we'll see that. Neon will be banned away by the Suns because mid is still available. Do we see the Bellica again? We talked about this last draft. Fox, we want him to shine. We need a character to do it.
I think it's a mixture of character and play. There were several, for the first 15 minutes of the game, I felt like I was screaming into the abyss saying, Fox, you need to walk left or right, literally just move your feet. He just kept dying and then walking back down mid lane, and whatever it is, I think a Gideon is probably the answer here. Mm-hmm. Gideon is just a safer way to do that. The downside is that you don't have the benefits of Seismic Assault or the silence that comes with the Neural Disruptor, and they didn't see anything wrong with that. Maybe they're just going to adjust the way they utilize Fox in this. If I'm the shot caller in game, I'm going to say, Fox, you got to be moving, bud. You got to be moving. If Soul Reaper is always moving, so we got to be active. We got to match that energy. But Suns, they are going to opt for the Mako here, so they're going to be giving up a little bit of that beefy front line. Morn is banned out, so you can't give that to Toasty. So this is an interesting adaptation.
Doc, you can't ban out Toasty. Look at this. Adele, Morn, Mako, Muriel, Zarus, Steel, FaZe. This guy is playing whatever you need him to play. So, okay, this time going for the Mako. I wonder if he'll run the Ion Eternal because that is so good on the Mako, and you just get your items really quickly. You can get your heal more powerful, keep your team in the fight, and the guy you definitely want to keep in the fight is the Bale. That'll be back on the Tekken Kid. So just a change in the support line here for Suns. We need one final pick for Nightshade.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And clearly, Suns, they liked what things were happening. But also, Nightshade, they feel confident enough. They have only made a slight tweak to their draft. There's going to be a lot of pressure here on Naps to perform with the gag grenades. That's what I'm watching for. This, that could make or break this entire game. I still got to give the edge to Suns though, because just after last game, just the fact that they have the Boris, all of this is just so much easier for them in terms of execution.
It's Toasty, it's Lakeinator, it's Soul Reaper, it's Tekken, it's Grady, it's Grand Finals against C4 tomorrow right here on the predecessor game channel on Twitch. Congratulations to Suns as they punch their ticket for a chance to win the Summer Summit.
And I love this Suns team, Lance. I think they're very good. They played very well in an effort. It didn't work out in that first set that we were able to watch, but they saw what they did wrong in that first matchup, and I believe that going into this Grand Finals versus C4, they'll change a lot of things we saw there, and they'll be able to move on and have more success than we saw. Definitely will not be a clean sweep here from the Suns team, coming back very determined for this Grand Finals matchup.
I think so as well, and I want to take my hat off to Nightshade, even though I'm not wearing one. I'll take my headset off quick. To Nightshade for the way that they played within that series. Were very, very tight in both games 1 and 2, and then just kind of fell up. I don't want to say fell apart, but Suns found those advantages that they were looking for and played the late game team fights very well, found those picks, found those right engagements, and it netted them 2 victories in a row here for the Suns. Red, I want to get your closing thoughts before we kick it back to our desk after this series is completed.
I mean, a fantastic play and a great display of resilience from the Suns team. You had a rough set in the first set that you played through. Got into this setup, you knew how crucial it was and how important it was to get you back on that stage to show that C4 team you really have what it takes to be the champions of this tournament and turn things around. But I want to take off the note the other way too. This Nightshade team has been phenomenal. They've progressed with each and every PCC to become better and better. They do fall just short on this one, but I would keep an eye on them, looking at them moving forward. I hope they keep their heads high, knowing that they're fantastic competitors, and we will see them in the next PCC tournament.
I completely agree. Well, that's it for Lance and Rit for the day. We've got one post-game breakdown left in it. Take it away, Philly in Shadow.
Thanks, fellas. We're back on the desk. What a series, Doc. It's same draft, same story, though, for Nightshade. They were in the front, in the driver's seat for the early mid-game, and then they weren't.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Suns, they didn't fix anything because they didn't need to fix anything, and Nightshade, I guess Nightshade were confident about the way they were feeling about how they were playing, and maybe they just felt that they had made some like serious errors in their decision making in the mid-late game, and they repeated many of those errors in this game, so it fell apart for them very quickly, but you know, as Ritter and Lance put it, right, like they kicked butt. They got their top 3 in NA. Like, that is nothing to scoff at. They're still going to get pinnacle points. They still get rep. Like, I mean, kudos to them for putting on such a good game against such a powerful team like the Suns. And kudos to Suns for mentally recovering after such a rough first set, and jumping into this as if nothing ever happened.
That grand final set tomorrow is going to be one to watch for sure. But we'll get to all that. Still want to break this one down, Doc. We've got a couple of clips. This one really highlighting Yinyo in the jungle. We know that he is a mechanical monster, especially on the Ure. He's being such a pest.
Yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes against this Yinyo Ure is just a nightmare. If you allow him to go 20-0, he will just win the game. So he starts out here with a nice little invade onto Grady's 2 camp while he's on it, and actually ends up burning, not just getting a first blood here, but also burning that blink, which is detrimental to Grady, as we see in this scene here. Immediately after, Grady steps up trying to deny some, counter deny some farm of minions from Yinyo, and as a result, the rest of the boys from the side of Suns kind of converge on that area, and they start to fall, and it's a mess. But then in this fight, they get retribution. Ure overstays the boys. He gets fly trapped into a Kingslayer. He gets pulled up. He gets slammed down, and he does ultimately fall. And this was kind of the theme of the Nightshade team, right? They made some really incredible plays. They had really great pressure, really great tempo across the map, to the point where Suns really was kind of forced onto the back foot in many situations. But there were some situations like that where they really overstayed, instead of just saying, all right, we're clearly outgunned here, let's just walk away. If we just walk away, we don't gain anything, but we don't lose anything. And I think that really was the theme of that set. Just Nightshade taking a lot and then ultimately just giving it over.
Tactical retreats. You can do that, right? Doc just watched season 2 of Free Rin, and the tactical retreat is a tactic they use all the time. But we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of individual skill. We even saw Naps breaking ankles inside the Fangtooth pit, finding eliminations. They have the star power. It's just working everybody together. Let's head over to this next clip. This is a triple kill at the Fangtooth pit.
Yeah, this was a very disjointed fight. It starts with Yinyo getting a pick onto Lakeinator, so there's no carry. The fly trap doesn't really connect to anybody, and so Toasty, he does fall to Fox. And yeah, that's going to be Naps just cooking them for free here. There's just nothing at this point in the game that the Boris can do. It's just, that was Nightshade taking so much, putting Suns onto the back foot, and all off the work from Yinyo. Yinyo takes out their major damage dealer. They peel off, they take Toasty out of the engagement, and then it's just, then you can focus on the Boris. But when you have all these other problems to focus on, you can't deal with the Boris. So, yeah, Nightshade very strong in that part of the game.
Once again, it's their timings, right? That early and mid game when everyone's defenses are still a little bit lackluster, they were good. We were talking in the green room how they had kind of a homogenous damage source, right? It was just a lot of physical damage. Really, Fox, the only person who was doing the magical damage. So if you're just building your physical armor, eventually you're just going to have so much armor, there's nothing you can do about it. And that's exactly what happened. Well, Doc, let's take a look at the final fight that kind of sealed the deal here for Sun.
Yeah, this was the fourth Fang. This was emphatically Sun's way of denying the third Fang from Nightshade, preventing that boon from going their way. They get on it. They're in the pit. You can see that, Toasty's in the pit, protecting his team, enabling Grady here. They do ultimately get the Primal Blaze. They take the second Fang for themselves, or their own second Fang, fourth Fang of the game, and then it's just a cleanup process here with that Primal Blaze. The Primal Blaze just does so much damage. That pure damage is nothing to scoff at. It just melts Nightshade. Yinyo trying to get something for it. He does, again, overstay a little bit. Greedy to kill this Boris here. But the boys on the side of Suns, they show up because they always get each other's backs. And Lakeinator walks away with a kill.
Big one. And Boris is tricky to take down. He's got a lot of lifesteal, especially if you go the Sky Splitter build and so on and so forth. And so you're like, oh, he's so close to death. And now I'm dead instead. Well, Grady, certainly the catalyst for victory on that Boris throughout this series, Doc. And we've got an interview with him.
Hello, gamers. Welcome. I am Empress Tiramisu, and we're here sitting down to interview Grady, the captain and jungler of the Suns, aka our second team for the grand finals. And boy, oh boy, was that the match that put you guys in the lower bracket a tough blow. You know, looking back at the C4 game versus how you guys managed to claw your way through the lower bracket, was there anything that you saw in that time frame that you were like, oh, we can't let that happen again? We have to go on. We had to be on our P's on Q's to get back up there.
Oh yeah, I mean, games 1 and 2 were like, game 1 was pretty favorable for us versus C4. Then there was obviously a very big turning point where we overcommitted to a dual lane play, flipped the entire game, and that was kind of just over from there. We talked about that. We communicated like, you know, hey, scaling comp, we just gotta chill, take our small wins, we're good to go. Then going into game 2, really, really close game. It was pretty boring. It's kind of like EU style game, not typical for NA, not very brawly, but we had some big turning points. Like, we made a big mistake, gave that Primal Fang. It was really bad. We had a huge recover when we just snuck the orb. So we kind of, you know, two teams, like both of us just snuck at OBJ. We really messed up with our lack of communication in the mid lane when we got picked, and then the game was kind of over from there. So biggest thing we talked about was we need better communication, and we just, you know, sometimes you know, it happens, but people let out their frustrations, and we talked about that. Like, we got to stay cool, calm, collected, and communicate. We play our best when we have good communication. Our games get really rocky, as you could see from that set, when our communication's lacking. So kind of happen.
Okay, well, I'd love to hear that, because now you guys have a day of rest and reset before tomorrow rolls around. And what are you most looking forward to in facing off against C4 again?
So for those of you guys that don't know it, us, like Suns and C4 are friends. We hang out all the time, play games with each other, even if it's not pred. You know, we talk all the time. So we're good friends, and I'm looking forward to face off against my friends. But at the same time, game day, they're not my friends anymore, so I'm looking to take them down. I'm talking about you, Peak. Talking about you, North, Maguli. I mean, pretty much everybody.
I love to hear it, calling everybody out. Now, turning our attention a bit more to the most recent, the match you had against Nightshade. The last time you guys met them, I believe you 2-0'd them.
Mm-hmm.
How did you keep them from winning again this time? Was it the same strategies as when you met them at the beginning of the upper bracket?
Yeah, pretty much. We noticed that they didn't really adjust drafts. So, like, C4 adjusted their drafts. We thought that Nightshade would also kind of adjust, but we realized they literally were just coming after the same strategy as they had before. So we were already ready for it. We knew what we wanted to play into it. Coming out of the C4 set, like, our comms were still really rocky, so the games were a little messy. So like our early games, mid games, kind of messy, but then we hit that turning point in game 1 and game 2, where we had like a pivotal fight. We get like 1 to 2 picks, and then we kind of snowballed it from there. So but the craziest thing from them was not adjusting to like, we really think that they should have banned the Boris. C4 banned the Boris, and I think Nightshade just kind of ego checked us by just letting us play what we want to play, thinking they could beat us.
Oh, okay. I love the deeper insight, because it's not too often that, like, you get to run into a team that like didn't we put you down before? and you learned nothing, apparently.
Pretty
so
much,
it's very rare to get to hear the insight of facing a team you faced already so soon. And I guess going into tomorrow, what's been your biggest takeaway from the tournament so far?
I don't really know how to answer that question. I will say, I guess, my biggest takeaway is I'm really happy, playing with my team, with how we're playing. I mean, anybody that knows about the comp scene, me, Lake, and Toasty, have played on and off for a while. We've had our issues in the past, but like coming back and, playing as well as we are now, regardless of what happened in the past, is really awesome. Tekken, my best friend, I've been playing with the guy for years. Sorryper is first time playing. I'm happy playing with the group of guys I'm playing with. We butt heads sometimes, but when we mesh very well. I think it shows in our games when it's clean games. But regardless of what happens tomorrow, I'm happy with how we played, and I'm just looking forward to continue playing with these guys moving forward.
I love to hear that. That makes my heart so big. All right, final thing I just want to ask, do you have any advice for people who might be like, I wish I could play like those people. I wish I could enter PCC. Do you have any advice that you can share with those people?
Sure. I mean, I can, give from my own perspective. I will say the biggest thing is, for a lot of players, like for competing, you need some sort of ego, but at the same time, you have to drop the ego, right? Like a lot of times people think that they're better than they are, and that is what stunts people's growth. They don't really pay attention to other people, try to learn from other people. And I'll say a lot of us in the comp community that are in the better teams, like, we've gone through that too, and we had to realize, like, hey, we have to drop the ego, we have to learn from other people, we have to get better. And that's kind of one of the big things. So it's really important to drop the ego and use everything as a learning experience. A lot of people, like, they're quick to jump to blaming other people, but it's really important to always self-reflect and don't really, like, sure, other people around you might not be playing as well as they can be, but always just focusing on what you can improve in yourself is definitely going to be the biggest thing when it comes to competing. And really just put yourself out there, because we see people all the time, controller players, mouse and keyboard players, that kind of just perform, and a lot of times when those guys perform, we do notice it. I'm not really going to say any names because I'm going to forget names. That's kind of like the biggest thing. But there are people that have played this tournament that we're like, wow, these guys are playing really well. They didn't play great in the past, but they've improved a lot. And it's really nice to see that, because competition just gets better from there. So that's just kind of what I got.
I love hearing that. I'm so happy I had the opportunity to talk to you. That's going to do it for me for today, guys. I'm tossing it back on over to the desk. Grady, please enjoy the rest of your day. I can't wait to see you guys perform on game day. I'm super excited. Take care, everybody, and I will check you out next time.
Thank you, Empress. Thank you, Grady. What a wonderful interview. Getting into the mind of one of the most tactful players on the NA side of things. Doc, it's been an incredible day of games. Some of the best predecessors we have seen in a while. Wonderful team fights, ankle breaking moves with blinks and mobility. It's had it all. The big thing though is everything was a 2-0.
Yeah, I am a little sad we didn't get any 2-1s. I love a 3-game set, so tomorrow I'm keeping my fingers crossed for some 5-game sets. I love a nice spicy game 5 of best of 5, but no, the games today though were really, really good. I mean, even though Suns took that last series 2-0, it cannot be understated how well Nightshade played. It's just they lost here by little inches, or centimeters if you're a non-freedom unit enjoyer.
Doc, I mean, that's what it takes when you're in the lower bracket finals, right? One mistake is all it takes to lose a game. And so, whatever, that's all right. And Nightshade, they'll come back even stronger. But let's take a look at the brackets really quickly, Doc, so you can see the story of how we got here. I mean, just some crazy upsets, right? Nightshade beating up Profs over there in a 2-0 fashion. Just some crazy games going on. But C4 versus Suns, my predecessor people, those will be your grand final contestants for our games tomorrow. Let's move over to the EU side of things, Doc, and take a look at that as well.
Yeah, the EU side of things, today we spent a lot of time down in that lower bracket watching Venivens. They cleaned up Sync 2-0 in a very convincing fashion, and then they moved on to face Hope, who they also cleaned up in a very convincing 2-0 fashion here. So as a result, we are getting a throwback rematch of that NSEU versus Venivens in the grand final best of 5 tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time in the United States. I don't know what that is. But again, both of these sets are absolutely insane sets because all 4 of the teams are just the best players in the world. I mean, just objectively, they're the top 4 teams, or the top 2 in each region, however you want to say it. I mean, this is the most exciting. Tomorrow is going to be the single most exciting day of this entire tournament, and this tournament has been absolutely incredible with this new Eternals patch.
I've been loving to see how the players have evolved utilizing these Eternals and how they mix with the different heroes and so on and so forth. Well, my predecessor people, we have reached the pinnacle of the Summer Summit, and as Doc mentioned, we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time for the EU Grand Finals. But remember, head over to that web store now, get your plat, right? 10% off, get those Victorious bundles, make sure you're repping the black and gold just like me, just like Doc. And folks, we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you in the same.